Hey, hi, what's up? I don't think he's here yet. We'll give him a
Oh,
second.
sorry. Mike was mid. I said, hi, hey, hi, what's up? The second right after you did, because I came in perfect timing. I'm like, yeah, perfect timing. Didn't unmute.
Yeah, I'm like, wait, well, he didn't hear me, so maybe he's still on the starting soon screen. I wasn't sure.
Well, timing's getting better. Just remembering pushing buttons.
Oh, man. I think mute's going to be a thing forever.
Oh, yeah,
It
it
has been a thing
definitely
in
is.
office meetings, it's been a thing in Discord for gaming sessions. It's just a thing.
Yeah, it just
I need like to like
always been.
mount a relay to a light on top of the monitor that's red whenever I'm muted and
It just says mute in big red
right big
letters.
letters.
Muted.
I'm old. I need to
Oh,
say mute up in the corner like the TV used to say in the corner all the time when you had it muted. Uh,
okay.
all
I,
right.
I'm I'm just glad I don't have the headphones that has the mute button like on the cord. So you
Uh,
bump your cord and you mute yourself and you have no idea. You're talking for like a half hour and you're like, why is no one talking to me?
my
You
Astros
find
were
out.
like that. I really actually didn't mind
Yeah.
that, but only when it was a full headset. I think I'd hate it with a mic like in front of me like this. Um,
Yeah, that'd probably be annoying.
yeah, just because I mean this, I'm so used to a mute being mic oriented, not headphone. But gaming with the Astros, it was really easy just to go click, and it was actually a hard enough button to push that you couldn't. I guess you could, but it'd be really hard to accidentally push the button. Anywho, outside of mics and our timing, should probably get this thing going. This is the
Yeah.
commentary table. I'm Matt. That's also Matt. You can find him at Forsaken on Twitch. If you're watching me here, then you know who I am and where to find me. So that's kind of self-explanatory. And we're just gonna babble about wrestling for a little bit. We're gonna cover probably NXT and SmackDown, the newly 3-hour SmackDown.
Yeah, that
So
was fun. I was
yeah,
glad to see that.
yeah. Actually, I was too. Where do you want to? Do you just want to pick random topics and go, or do you want to chronologically go, or how do you want to do this?
I mean, I guess we can chronologically go, but I'm definitely kind of excited to get to Tiffy time.
Tiffy time. Let's see here. I need to definitely add a light coming my way, but Tiffy time.
Oh, geez, you just had that ready to go. We didn't prep that at all.
Tiffy time.
Oh, jeez.
Tiffy time in green. And
Yeah.
Tiffy time in America. White and
Good
blue.
God, you got four.
Got four different, well, tell relatively same, four different Tiffy time rookie cards here.
Sheesh.
Yeah, she won. I'm like, I got a stack of rookies. I'm going to bring those out.
Oh, okay. You did prep a little bit.
Well, as soon as you won, I'm like, I knew I had, like I said, a stack of rookie cards. I don't have anything else of hers. I've never met her. I don't have any pictures signed. I don't have any 8x10s. I have nothing like that because I never met her. It's not like a Danhausen situation where I can wheel out a mask and a limited edition print and a VHS of all of his promos before he had Patreon or his action figure or 8x10s. It's not like it's, anybody that I've met
Yeah.
several times over and over again. But I do have a stack of rookies, so I thought, why not bring those out?
Yeah.
But we'll get there. We'll definitely get there. We have a lot to talk about SmackDown. NXT, we have a little bit to talk about at least. And I've instantly forgotten the first match of NXT.
Yeah. In a way, I really need to go back to kind of just writing down who's in the matches and we cover what we cover.
I watched the first match at about 4:15 this morning. So that's why I don't
I did
remember the
I
first
did all
match.
my homework yesterday, so that might be
Mm,
why I've
was
slept
it?
since
I
it.
think it might have been Lola Vice and Kalana Jordan. I can never say her name. Kalani,
Yeah, yeah, Clonny Jordan or Clonna Jordan. Now
something
you're
like
messing
those.
me up.
That's
I
on me.
usually always have it. Uh,
Kalani versus Lola Vice. That was the first match. I know that.
boy, Lola Vice. Those trunks she's wearing. Jeez, it all hanging out. I'm trying not to be a you know dirty old man about that one, but it's all that. I was just like, I never noticed that before. Thanks, cameraman. Stuck that right in my face. Just
She knows that she looks good and she has no problem with it. Um, and
uh,
that's absolutely fine. I'm not going to complain.
yeah, if like I had probably, I'm guessing I had never noticed before until that day, and then even one of her moves in ring is like this little like hip bump thing, and
Yeah,
then she comes at you with the ass, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, she knows. All right,
yeah.
I didn't know, but she knows.
I mean that. I mean, yeah. Yes. I think the
And
big,
all of a sudden, it hit me like,
big
oh,
well, it hit Jordan. That's
yeah,
who it hit.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. I guess me phrasing it that way is more like a I wish sort of a thing. Yeah.
but big one on that is that chaos breaks out because Cora Jade shows up and starts teeing off with a kendo stick and sets up a fatal four way for next week for number one
Yeah,
contendership.
I it was. Has there been a lasting beef with them? Like I.
With whom? The entire division hates the entire division. I know what I'm talking about.
Okay. Well. Yeah. Well. Okay. Kind
I
of a
mean, to be fair, it
course.
seems like
Yeah.
it's ratcheted up to like the 10th degree here out of nowhere,
I
where the
just.
entire division
Yeah.
hates the entire
Just,
division.
well, that
Ooh,
was sort of
excuse
my
me.
point. Like to come out with a kendo stick and just be like, I'm just gonna
Kendo
tee
stick's
off
been
on
her
the both of
thing.
you.
That's her. That's her weapon of choice. She comes out. She used to come out with a itty bitty skateboard, like a like a
Itty
like a
bitty, like a tic
Miami
tac.
Vice style 1980s that style board,
Oh,
but
that 1980s one,
yeah,
the
but it
one
was a
that
small
like.
version of it, like a little Tykes
Oh,
version of it almost. Like it was kind of
well,
ridiculous.
like the nose is just rounded, not curved up, and you
Correct.
just have the
Correct.
tail to pop.
Yep. That's what she used
Ollies.
to come out with when she was a good guy. When she turned heel, she started coming out with like a spiked jacket and hat and a kendo stick. So much so that
Okay.
even her action figure comes with a kendo stick.
Oh wow.
I don't
Okay.
think I have her action figure I could go grab, but I think the kendo stick is in a case of miscellaneous items. Like when you have like 14 different title belts because they all come with title belts, you're like, God, you don't all need to display titles. I don't have to. So I have a separate like tackle box fishing container essentially for like spare titles, and they all come with spare hands because they all got to be doing something different with their hands. So it looks creepy as hell. There's just a case of hands essentially.
it looks like my niece's bedroom with Barbie dolls and
Pretty
just
much, it's kind of, you
random
know,
items.
yeah, like the only people that got to display their stuff because they're fun and awesome to me was I got the 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 WLC set essentially back when Swoggle and El Torito or the bull that used to come out with Los Matadores had a WLC match where they had mini tables, mini chairs, and mini ladders. That set comes with a like 3-step stool ladder, a mini chair that's tiny compared to the rest of like the action figure sets chairs, and a mini table. So I have all three of those items out with Swoggle and El Torito. But besides that, most of the other stuff is in storage until I find a good way to display it.
Yeah, I get you.
So
It's quite a lot of stuff to
they
display.
all come out with so much stuff, man. And
Yeah.
I need to get
If you
two Chelsea greens.
start collecting like that, yeah, you
I need to get
get
two
quite a
Chelsea
lot of stuff.
greens because Chelsea Green is the only other action figure that wears a hat that's similar to what Priscilla Kelly's or Gigi Dolan's hat is. They both have the same, like, I don't know, it's like a Gucci style hat now, but it's like almost reminisces of like an old style police hat almost. They both kind of like exaggerated a little bit. They both wear something similar to that.
Oh.
Gigi wears one when she's being Hell's favorite harlot, and Chelsea's is usually decked out much more like a Gucci style thing. So they're very similar in design, but they're very different in intent. But I need to get two so I can put one on Gigi because Gigi doesn't come with a hat, which is weird.
Fair
Or a
point.
rose. She should have came with a rose or a hat. She didn't come with either. So, anywho,
Well,
enough of the action figures and stuff. That sets up a fatal
well,
four-way match. I
real
have.
quick, because I'll be quick about it.
You're good.
Last SmackDown, since I wasn't able to do this with you, I had to babysit my niece, so she got like like 16 Barbies from her dad's side of the
Oh
family. So
boy.
she's just wanting to play with the Barbies. And I'm not so like, oh, I can't play with Barbies. So, okay, I'm playing with my niece. She's
Right.
4. And I'm like,
Good man.
wait, I got the TV here. Maybe I can watch SmackDown while I'm playing with her. I turn it on. She she just ignores it for the most part. At one point with some of the women wrestling, she looks up, watches for a little bit, goes right back to what she's doing. I'm like, okay, good. Because if she started like watching it a whole bunch, I'm like, that might be a little bit too
Why is that a
violent
problem?
for a
She already throws
4-year-old girl.
elbows, dude. She already drops elbows.
Yeah, but she's not doing it very maliciously. Like she's not trying to really hurt you. So I'm not trying to. She's gonna find wrestling eventually.
Right.
All little kids do.
Yep.
Just as teenagers and such find adult films, it happens. It's
Weird
coming down the
analogy to bring
road.
up right now, but I guess it's accurate.
It's coming later
You're
down the
escalating this.
years.
Actually,
It's how it is. When I mean, yeah. Anyways,
the internet, it's lovely.
get too deep into the analogy. I'm just gonna dig
We're
more
gonna-
of a hole. So we're gonna leave it at that.
That's
It's
probably
just
the best way to handle
me-
that. You're not wrong. Just
It's hopefully way down the road, but it's gonna happen.
okay.
But same thing with her getting into wrestling. So
That
I
could
didn't
happen
exactly,
a lot sooner. We're good with that.
Yeah,
That's fine.
Yeah, yeah. I just didn't want to quite totally get her like hooked on it at
Okay,
4.
4 is probably a little young. I'll grant you that.
Because if she all of a sudden is watching wrestling all the time, they're gonna know exactly who did it. and if they don't like that idea, I'm gonna.
Right.
I only babysit her that night.
How?
Wrestling? No,
We're just
we
playing
don't play
Barbies over here.
Barbies.
We ain't. There's no wrestling on anywhere. What are you talking about? No.
She must have just found it on her tablet. You gotta watch her with that thing.
Careful that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's not
Set
my
some
fault.
parameters up.
I know better. I'm 41.
Right.
Okay. Anyways, so with the kendo stick and Cora Jade, that set up a fatal 4-way.
Yeah, she meant to cause havoc. She caused havoc, but what all she really did was put herself in a match, essentially, with the other 3 competitors that she pissed off. So, did it work in her favor? A little bit, but it's also a backfire. That's the whole point. Was she was supposed to be like mildly regretting when she realized that she is in a fatal 4-way now.
Who was the third she teed off on? Or is it just a third that's thrown in there? I think I missed that part for a fatal 4-way.
Oh, Stephanie comes out to make the save,
okay.
gets it with a spinning back fist.
Oh, God, did I look away for that part? I saw the kendo stick part and missed that. Missed the save.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what happened there. She got hit with a spinning back fist, and I'm pretty sure it was in that match. I think Lola does the spinning back fist. Cora gets out of the way and clocks Stephanie. And then someone's like, well, you could have just moved to Stephanie. Like, could have just moved and not got hit, you know? That didn't sit very well. So, yeah. Well, they have to do something with her now because Julia's going after the title. So it makes complete sense to put her in this group with the rest of the very hot, I don't say up and coming, hot number 1 contendership scenario going on right now, too, because every one of those ladies has a lot going for them.
Yeah, you didn't mean it as in.
No, I just mean like they're like being successful. They're all hot anyways. I'm not trying to deny that any of them aren't attractive, but like it just meant that they're all on the top of their game right now.
Yeah, kind of like not like red hot heat. Well, maybe some of them might, but just
they're all at the top of their game. They're getting their pushes. They all have a big push right now, essentially.
Yeah. Okay. Trying to remember where it went after that.
They did a bunch of like awards and stuff like that, but we can just kind of lump those all together at the end because they were doing like match of the year, tag team of the year, stuff like that.
Oh yeah, that stuff.
But the next major match that pops into my head next was this is my group. This is the group that I love. I don't think they're officially called Chemical X, but like if you follow them on social media.
Oh yeah, the three girls, two of them with like what green and red hair,
Yeah,
colored hair.
Shotzi, Gigi, who we just talked a whole bunch about, and then Tatum.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Tatum. That's the one that doesn't have the. Well, her hair might be dyed black, but
Right.
still,
Yeah.
flashy color.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. I'm liking that group too.
Love
Um,
that group. Love Shotzi. Love Shotzi forever now. Love Gigi forever. And Tatum is a new one on me here as I've come back to NXT, but she's fantastic too. So I just love this stable. It's amazing.
yeah. I mean, just the look alone, that kind of gothy
So
girl
fun.
thing is always kind of. It's always kind of piqued our two interests. Where it's just like,
Right.
I like the style.
Yeah, this alternative style is great. Love it. Not to mention that Shotzi is just a lot of fun, and I keep wanting to call her like PK or Priscilla or whatever, but Gigi's a lot of fun too. Um, that's a great one, and Tatum is her character is great too. I mean, she spent a week in a trunk apparently back around
Yeah.
Halloween Havoc. I mean, how do you not? Um, and she took some insane bumps in that street fight where she went through the dollhouse and the Legos and they
Oh
were
yeah,
Legos, but
doing
yeah,
doing the coffin match. Yeah,
yeah,
to essentially try and lock the person in like a trunk, like she
right.
got locked in. Like,
So love this group. Really had very little to do with the match itself. It kept the. It was a fun match. It was a 3-way tag team match. Tatum sat out of Chemical X versus Katana Chance and it's Casey Carter. Is that her name? I follow her a lot. That tag team is. I love that tag team, but for some reason I blank on her name sometimes.
I'm
Um,
forgetting her name too. I don't.
Problem
I
is, it took me
definitely
so
don't know her
long to
yet.
learn Katana Chance's name because that's not her real name. She comes from American Ninja Warrior. So forever, I knew her by that name, and I've now since forgotten her real name, which is probably a good thing because that's not her character. But now
But
I
you're
don't
still
remember her
having
partner's
trouble
name.
learning a new one.
I can't
Oh, the
remember her
partner's
partner's
name.
name because I spent so much time
Oh,
focusing on her name, not the line
yeah.
dancing girl that is friends with Damian Priest.
Gotcha.
So, anyways, the one um the one that's not American Ninja Warrior. gotta fix that. Um, not Katana Chance. The other one is always in TikToks and stuff like that with Damian Priest, and she loves to like line dance. So she's in a bunch of like country stuff.
Oh, okay.
So seems really fun and very cool. But anyways, that was team number 2, and team number 3 was um God, I don't know why I'm so bad with these names. You're better with these two than I am too.
Oh, is it
Powerhouse and
Lakara Jackson and Lash Legend?
that's it. Okay. I don't know why I can't remember
That
Legend.
so
Lash I get all the
okay.
time, but I can't think of the.
So as you just brought up, like trying to learn the one girl's name from Ninja Warrior, and then having a hard time remember her partner's name. Those are the two where I'm like, I gotta learn these two girls' names and fast. Be, well, I could kind of one see the push that they're getting because they were doing crossover
Right.
with like SmackDown and Raw for like pay per views, and just even beyond that, you can see like what they got going on here. Like, okay, yeah, right now they're a tag team, but they got a lot of singles potential coming up down the road.
I think they're keeping it as a tag team for a while, but yeah, they
Oh
they
yeah,
both do. Um, yeah. So, anyways, good match overall. Um, I don't know if Katana and I want to say that at least their last name is Carter. I'm pretty sure. If those two are going to stay in NXT for a little bit because we're doing the transfer portal thing they keep talking
mm-hmm.
about, or they just wanted to come down and have a match down in NXT. But the crowd loved them. They were full of energy. They had a lot of really fun moves. They do the like suplex almost, or no, the handstand into what looks like into a splash. They also have the double tornado, like planches to the outside. They like
Oh
dive through the
yeah,
ropes sideways, spinning, so to speak. So those two are
Yeah,
great. They're
that's
a lot of fun. They got the crowd into it constantly. So they were a great callback also because they were in NXT forever. So fans just love them because of their history with NXT to begin with. Um,
yeah.
the team that everyone's keeping an eye on right now, though, is one with Shotzi in it because Shotzi is coming back right now off of injury, but they're not the main focus in this one. So Lash, Legend, and Jakara Jackson pick up a really big win.
It's
Uh,
actually kind of good because you got LL and JJ.
oh, that's a good point. That works well.
So
They probably
yeah,
purposely did that, actually.
yeah, kind of go with the alliteration
Mm.
just to make it work.
So the big one is they pick up a win, they stay hot, and my girls have to deal with Fatal Attraction because that's why they lost. In theory, is because the one that was part of Toxic. What was the name of that group? I'm pushing almost 20 hours of being awake, so bear with me. Toxic. The group with Mandy Rose, Gigi, and Jaden. This.
I don't know if it's all group. I can't help you.
Yeah, it's a
I
group from before
wasn't
Mandy
watching
Rose
then.
got booted for her OnlyFans. Nevertheless, Gigi was part of that group with the other girl that's part of Fatal Attraction right now. The one with the person I can't think of her name. Nevertheless, they come out, they run a distraction. Gigi's old running mate tosses her off the top rope, and that sets up the predicament where Lash Legend can help finish that off and get the win. So that's really what it's setting up. It's setting up a Fatal Attraction versus Chemical X match there, and which I'm excited for. We'll see how that goes. That should be a lot of fun. Although I don't think Tatum is ready to wrestle yet. I think she's having some slight health issues, if I understand social media posts correctly. So nothing major, but
So she can come out as like a third banana, stand around, act as a manager.
she can be a
for
manager
the
right now,
moment.
stuff like that, not being any risk, it seems like. But in terms of seeing
Yeah,
her wrestle, I don't know if that's going to happen for like a couple weeks.
gotcha. Well,
So,
hope everything's okay.
yeah, no, I don't think it's anything serious from what I can tell
See,
from the social media posts.
ought to be kind of a sign that it's not that bad if she's able to like show face, like
Yeah,
at
yeah, again,
ringside.
don't think it's anything bad. Just, I don't even know much about it, so I couldn't even say that's why she's not wrestling. She could wrestle next week for all I know. I'm not a doctor. Who the hell? I'm not, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I mean, I'm still in shock of how quickly Rhea Ripley came back with broken orbital bones. It's like I'm just gonna wear this. Like they healed that fast, and then they did that one nasty spot of bouncing her face off the commentary table. I'm like, I wouldn't have gone for that spot just yet after you just did that
The
to your
mask
face.
must do a great job because I mean every basketball player that breaks a nose or an orbital bone wears the same mask, and
She's already not wearing it. Like it seems like she took it off so fast, but
I think it's what
I
4 to 6 weeks for a bone like that to heal. Not
I,
completely, but to be good
I
enough to be
guess
good. I
I
mean,
guess so.
if you're a professional fighter, you probably want more time off than that. But it's like,
Yeah.
um, I've been real lucky. I haven't broken any bones in all my nonsense somehow, except for my nose. And then no one cared enough about me to take me as a kid to get my nose set. So, like, live with breathing problems. Like, become a human pug as you get older. That's fine. Don't worry about it.
Here, I'll just grab it and crunch it to the side.
Right.
There you go. You're good
Wiggle,
now.
wiggle, 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 wiggle. That
Yeah.
looks straight.
Yeah, looks
My
straight
nose
up.
is in Play-Doh. Take me to a professional. So, but anyways, yeah. Uh, that was that match. Uh, again, there was a good match. It was a lot of fun, but I think it just set up everybody else's directions more so than the match was the focus. Although it was
Yeah.
still a very good match. Again, a lot of match of the year stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm
I I'm,
forgetting.
I'm blanking on a match in the middle. I know I'm blanking on a match in the middle that I
Yeah,
can't think of right now, but
I'm coming up. I guess now in my head, remembering it, I'm focusing on probably the. I believe it was the end of the show where it was Oba and Trick. Um,
yeah, we can get to that. We'll get that in a second. I'm
yeah,
gonna rattle off
the
some
song
stuff,
is
and if you don't want to talk about it, we can just move on because we're already a half
nah,
hour in.
yeah, it's fine.
Um, I know one of the matches was the 6-man tag, Wesley and the tag team that I've only seen wrestle twice now, so I really gotta get their names. Versus who the hell they wrestle?
Maybe bring up the card. We keep going like this with NXT. Like,
Well, I like Wesley the best anyway,
who's
so he
who?
won, so I didn't care. I was like,
Okay,
okay, good, Wesley won, fantastic. Um, what just blew at me?
some blue at you. Well, didn't come through this end. So
Oh, maybe they didn't come through here. Who did Wesley beat? Caden Carter and Katana Chance. Caden Carter is the line dancing friend with Damian Priest, who is fantastic, and Katana Chance is the Ninja Warrior.
okay.
That's who I was looking for in terms of names. Uh, and then Kalani Jordan.
Yeah,
Kalani?
Kalani.
Uh, to correct that name that I done butchered. Um, oh, we missed Cedric Alexander versus Page, Ethan Page.
Oh,
Ethan Page is just
yeah,
angry now, so Ethan Page is just giving people vacation time,
yeah.
essentially.
I was kind of interested where they were gonna go with Ethan Page because
He's essentially just snapped.
yeah.
That's what
Well,
they're doing with him.
I'm glad they did that because how it was going at first. I was like, I don't know what they're doing here. It was just
Well, it's
like,
fine because it was fine with the way they did it at first because it was all like his ego was busted and that's his whole gimmick is his ego, and now
yeah,
he's kind of like manic, and he has like he's kind of within his super ego, so to speak, and now he's just the guy you send out if you want vacation time. Here, send the bouncy one off, and then send Cedric Alexander home with what should be broken fingers in theory.
yeah.
So it makes sense. He'll eventually run into a big guy that stops him, but but overall, good match. I think it was a really good way to handle things.
One of the matches in the middle had was it Chase was part of that 3-way?
Chase.
Yeah, from Chase U. I remember him going
Oh,
like,
that's the main event. That was the main event actual
oh,
match.
I see.
Um,
That, yeah, because Oba and Trick was just kind of like a standoff.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
I think there was one more match in between that was. Oh yeah. Yeah, that triple threat match they faced. You're absolutely right. Hank, Tank, and Chase. Um,
That's why I remembered it.
Hank and
Because Hank
Tank.
and Tank were in there with Chase.
Yeah,
It's like I
Chase.
didn't really see myself rooting for Chase, but he's with Hank and Tank.
Yeah, I mean it's a tough one because like he seems unpolished. He seems older. He has a bizarre gimmick for an NXT superstar. If we're being honest,
Yeah, the whole university thing.
Oh, no, that was
I don't know.
so over. But the issue was he was the teacher, so it instantly makes him
Yeah,
feel old in a organization all about youth, and so it
I
instantly
mean,
gives it a weird feel to me.
I get if it's over, but it's no matter how over something might be, it doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to get into
Oh
it.
no,
Anyways,
absolutely not. I get that.
it was
But
one
it
of those
was
things where I'm like, okay, well, people like it apparently, and then they killed it. And now people are like, but I bought the shirt.
well, that was the whole gimmick, right? Because he's getting into it a little bit as the match goes, and Hanging Tank is kind of bringing it out of him, and then he goes to celebrate one time to his student section where it used to be, and it wasn't there, and it made him very sad.
Yeah,
So he wandered away.
yeah.
Um, so
Now
it's
he
in,
needs to snap.
I don't know what he's gonna do. I don't know how they're gonna work that. But I can't imagine.
Break depression with craziness. And just go off on everyone. You
That's
sad?
that's Hale. That's his pupil. She's like the ultimate warrior, but like 4'9".
Oh God. Okay, so
Thea Hale
clawing at my hip like
yeah,
the
she's a
Undertaker's
very
casket.
angry, adorable chihuahua, essentially, with that kind of energy she has.
I'm
So
biting my ankle.
I hope they keep something going with her because she's absolutely amazing. That whole group is really good. Um, not really sure what they're gonna do down the road with that group, but I can't imagine they let this actually die. It's too over. Too much stuff is being sold, and it gave every character in there plenty of room to play with, and I can't imagine them letting that go away.
Yeah, I almost imagine I could carry that on to like one of the other rosters and just
It'd
blow
be
it up even more.
a lot to move on at once, but they could.
Yeah, I
I'm with
mean,
you on that.
we don't see those things happen often, but that's maybe one of those times where it should.
Um, quickly, only because it seems to have more significance than I thought it should, is Izzy Dame versus Sol Ruka.
Oh yeah,
Um, big win for Izzy. That's how you say her name. Um, big win for her to beat Sol Ruka, in my opinion. It was a good match overall. It told a good story, but really what it comes down to is the backstage stage segment afterwards, in my opinion, where you saw the chairman, Sean Spears, trying to recruit her as a protege, and the Don family come up and be like, the lady said leave her alone, essentially, and like stick up for her. So I don't know if that's like a sign that both sides are going to try to recruit her or what's going to happen there. But that's clearly more of a emphasis than I thought it was going to be. So that's really what that match was about, in my opinion.
yeah.
And then you had the standoff, as you said, where Obi comes out, and I don't think we ever find out who won Male Athlete of the Year, did we? I
Uh,
don't think they
I
said.
don't. I don't remember a lot of those. The one I was sort of remembering, like half remembering, is that I forget who won what award, but they immediately did like a promo on that award, and you're like, I don't care about this award; it means nothing. And I think they were basically essentially saying they care about like what title they're going after. Like, I don't care about this award.
See, Obi said that, but we never got the word on who won it, I don't think.
So I wonder if I wonder if I'm thinking of another one because the one I saw, I don't remember who it was for. Unfortunately, it said on the screen they won it, and then they just you know basically shit on that award like like it's meaningless. I don't care. Which might have been Oba, um, but I'm having a hard time remembering. I
Because
would have figured.
I know Nathan and Axiom won the uh, Tag Team of the Year award, and they
Yeah, that
seem very
makes sense.
appreciative of it. Uh, Joe Hendry won Moment of the Year. Uh,
Hmm.
yeah, Moment of the Year. Um, and again, he
That
was very appreciative of that. And you may
I think
not have caught that. Did you see him?
might not
He
have. I don't
is
remember.
he is the man with a beard and like blonde hair, and he's got a very catchy theme song.
Hmm.
Say his name and he appears. He's been everywhere. So he really came on in TNA with that theme song, and
Okay.
then when the TNA NXT crossover started to happen, people were like, "He's got to show up in NXT. He's got to show up in NXT," and then he did. And then he uh, went back to TNA, and he got the Hardys, the team with him in one of the TNA's big pay per views, and they were part of the entrance music as well. They were in it. So I'll find that on YouTube and send that to you later so you can see it.
Okay.
But
That
that's
must.
he's not a bad wrestler, but he's so over for his character and that song, so it helped him a lot.
Gotcha.
But don't be
Um.
surprised if he shows up in the Rumble.
Oh,
That
all
was
right.
moment of the year. Um,
Uh, was there female wrestler of the year? I think I
Roxanne
remember them doing that.
Perez.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm like, yeah, I recognize the name, and I know I've seen her wrestle a little bit, but not enough. But I started kind of getting back into this at the end of the year, so I had no wherewithal of
She's
like
the NXT champion.
hopefully, yeah. I'm like, I hope that's deserved.
Yeah, she's been the
Um,
champion now twice. This last run's been a pretty long time, and truthfully, she wins a lot of matches that are very good. And she's a heel, but it's not like she uses like a whole bunch of outside interference to get her wins typically. She typically finds a way to legitimately either win or legitimately steal a win, essentially. So,
okay.
very good. She's Booker T's student, if I'm not mistaken. Um, I know they
I
say that a
know.
lot on the commentary table, but well, not this commentary table, but the
Yeah,
actual one
there's.
next to the ring.
Yeah.
But I believe that's
Um.
legitimate. I believe that she actually did go to his school and everything. So,
Okay.
uh,
Well, like I know I've seen a bit of her matches by now, being the champ for sure, watching the pay per views and so on. But man, I don't think I see her as much as some of the other women in
well,
NXT.
because she's the champion, so she doesn't have to
Yeah.
wrestle every night. You saw her; she was in the tag team with Cora Jade a couple weeks ago, the one that wrestled against Julia and Stephanie. They were dressed in the all white. It was Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez versus those two. Her finishing move is
Oh,
the
okay.
Pop Rocks. It's a code red
Pop
essentially.
rocks. Oh, okay.
So, but
Yeah, I know I had seen her. I'm just like, well, the name's definitely familiar. So it's just because I came in at the tail end of the year and I'm trying to play catch up. So I'm not over here just like, oh, that's undeserved.
she's
I'm just like, you didn't tell me.
yeah, she's been around long enough that even while not watching, I knew a lot about her just out of association with Booker T and her run down there so far. Honestly, she's probably due to come up soon. She probably should be in the next round of call ups.
Oh, yeah.
Um, Not that she has
I
to. I mean, people can make a career now. I have no problem people making a career in NXT. When it was Adam Cole and Finn Balor and eventually Gargano and that whole crew, I was like, just leave me NXT. I'll watch this. um,
yeah. I
but they
mean
they all have to come up
that
eventually, essentially, if they want to make the money they want to make, and so
through the last 8 years of me being back in this area and you kind of get me back into wrestling. I mean, that was the main thing to kind of pay attention to is NXT when AEW first was getting started, where they were just they weren't even the company yet. Just the one pay per view they put on, then another one, and then they went, well, maybe we'll make this a official thing. I mean, starting off with those two, that was like the two things to take a look at. Well, I don't know, the main roster just wasn't really catching
The main roster
our
was
old
bad at the time.
eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just wasn't doing it. Now I feel completely different. Like I like to definitely watch NXT to see like what's coming up, and I miss so many like big amazing things over the years that happened in NXT that wasn't really happening on the main. I keep saying main roster. This is not the right term for it. Raw and SmackDown,
Right. They call it the main
and
rosters. It's fine.
it yeah, but it's an old term and it's kind of shitty towards anyone that's currently in NXT because it isn't like it's not really a minor league, even though I don't know, it's still sort of treated that way in a sense.
I feel like it was in the middle. I don't feel like it was when it first started. I feel like you had a bunch of indie talent that was very experienced, but you also had a lot of top talent that just wasn't from the States. Alistair Black, or back then Tommy End. Yes, you had people like Ruby and Sasha Banks when she was still very very young, and Bailey coming off of the indie scene. But you also had mixed in there. You had a Charlotte. You had Finn Balor, who was doing amazing things in New Japan.
Yeah,
Um,
Asuka come in there.
yep, another one from Stardom and New
That
Japan and all that stuff.
that was
She'd been
just
wrestling with Kenny Omega at the time in
yeah,
Japan, and
just so many people that had so much amazing like creativity would just their entrances alone, like it
yeah,
just
it felt fun. And then you also had young people that were still coming up, like Sami Zayn, um, who was El Generico before that, and Kevin Steen, but he was still really well known for his ROH run at that point. Um, and Adam Cole, and then you mixed in Samoa Joe eventually. And I mean, the list was so many talented, seasoned indie people with so much talent from overseas at the same time. And it, to me, it didn't feel like a minor league roster, but they can call it that. That's fine. And then the middle hit, and they just started pulling college athletes. You're a cheerleader, you're a soccer player, you're a this, you're a that. And then to me, it kind of got more of a minor leagues feel. And now we're back to a point where it feels more because they're pulling talent from Australia, they're pulling talent from Japan again, they're pulling talent from mixing with young talent. So again, to now
and
we're
then
back to a
pulling
point
talent
where
from South Africa.
yep, we're now I feel
Just
like we're pulling talent, enough talent with younger people that it no longer feels like the minor league to me. But the middle kind of did. So, and I enjoy watching NXT because it's quick, it's to the point. Uh, the backstage segments are kind of campy and kind of feel old school with the way they do stuff, and they feel a little bit like the way I think I would have felt about watching Raw when I was a kid. Now, if I was watching as an adult, like some of the skits, you're like, "Huh, look, they used a fake house for that." But back then, you're like, "Oh my God, they're throwing Randy Orton out of his own window." It's like, no, that's not. That's a set, like
yeah.
you know. And
It's
now,
like someone built like a model home and threw him out the model home.
right now it's now I see that and I see all that kind of stuff, and it is what it is. Back then, I was a little bit more invested in the realism of it. So, uh, but yeah, so I enjoy NXT for that. But I think if we want to transition to Raw, is there anything else you want to talk about with NXT?
um, not not really. I think we kind of
Okay,
covered it.
I want to jump right into NXT into SmackDown with just a brief overview of what I think is helping the main roster distinguish itself differently, which is the camera work and the way they're filming it makes it feel big time. And it's not even the ring stuff, in my opinion. It's so you follow people through the stage area. You walk through the production room that's set up behind every light board. Every entrance for SmackDown or Raw, you see the production crew. You see Trips and whatever sitting there at the table. They have 4 monitors on every wall. Why, I don't know, but they do because it looks cool. And then you follow through the curtain, and then you see the wiring that runs behind the board itself. All that
Yeah.
wiring with all the cabling, with all the pyrotechnic stuff run across it. And to me, that's more impressive than what's on the front side of the board every time they show it. You know what I mean? So you
Yeah.
get this.
I really do, especially with the wiring. I caught that like the other night watching that behind stage and like, whoa, that's a big coil of like taped up wiring that they need to be running that big board that
Yep.
they now has as what's today's modern jumbotron.
Right. So I'm way more invested in how that stuff is set up and how that looks, and that production behind the scenes look, to them to come out, and then you see the video and you see them in their interest, and you're like, that's pretty cool. But it's even cooler now because I see all the stuff going on behind the scenes of this grand production going on. Additionally, they're getting very creative with that chase cam as well, where tonight's main event, the Usos came out through the crowd, and it was a very good shot where in the tunnel it was so dark that it silhouetted the Usos and Sami Zayn
Oh yeah,
until they
yeah, it
hit
did.
the lights, and it's very much a big time cinematic shot, like almost a movie like shot that they got, just to kick off the
Yeah,
main
you
event
got that. You
essentially.
got the friggin' heroes walking out the tunnel.
Right in the
And right before
silhouette.
that, they're just pumping up the kids and stuff. They're like lined up as they're
Mm.
walking to that entrance way. Yeah, that was cool.
So that's where I think they're getting me again, is because they're making the main roster feel epic again, and they're doing it with the camera shots and just showing you essentially, listen, this is epic, and it's epic because it is a lot of work. Look at all the stuff we set up. Look at how integral everything is backstage to make this production. Because I'm sitting here as a fan, sitting in the section 122, whatever, staring at this stupid board, going, man, I miss when they had big swinging hooks and they had cars flipped upside down for Royal Rumble. I'm missing all that stuff. And here it is. Well, whoa, this actually is way more involved than I ever gave it credit for. I'm like, they slapped a couple LCDs up there and we're good to go. And that's not exactly how that's set up. And so I think a lot of my impression of how the main roster is doing things and how it feels epic compared to NXT is really in showing me everything backstage, showing me how that stuff is set up, and really impressing me that way.
Yeah, I have to agree. It's a really good point. And they even had a point tonight. In it was tonight's main event. With one of the, I think it was one of the hot tags of like the Usos side. I Yeah, I think it was tagging in one of the Usos. Um, but just how they were tagging in Jay actually, and Jimmy ended up I seeing him over there ducking down, like he wasn't the one tagged in. He was fresh. He kind of ducked down, but it's because the cameraman went up the steps, and basically as Jay like tags in, he uses the zoom perfectly to follow Jay in, so you feel like you're running with
Like you're
Jay
chasing it, yeah,
to
behind him.
meet like Jay's own opponent, like almost like you took the hot tag with Jay.
Yep,
You're in the ring. You're fighting the fucking fake bloodline too.
yep. Such great
That was
camera work.
so friggin' cool, and it was only for the run in and like collision, and then they switched to another camera, and you could kind of see out of the corner that cameraman's like, okay, I did my shot. I'm gonna back down the
Yep.
stairs and get back down on the floor. And
Same thing with the
Jimmy's
movies.
ducked down at the second rope, like, okay, I don't want my head in the way. They got to
Yep.
do this shot. That was so cool. I caught that, and as soon as you started bringing all this up, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, that
It's
totally
how they're
reminds me of
changing the feel of it. They're changing it with these amazing camera shots and the way they're bringing people in, and that you just what you described there is awesome and a great catch on how it's being done. But I'm sure the mindset is the same as like a Hollywood car chase. You're behind the car, you're right with it. You're going through traffic with the car. And the minute the car that's being chased hits whatever it hits and begins its flip, we cut out so we can see the whole big flipping
Yeah.
crash. And so as soon as they collide in the ring, you have the whole collision that is the match happening right after that. You know what I mean? The rest of the match, I
Yeah.
should say. So it's yeah,
And the
that's how
lead
the
up to those moments, they're making you there.
right, exactly. So that's how they're really changing the way they're presenting Raw and SmackDown, and I think it's fantastic. What did you think of the
It's
blue canvas?
uh I don't think I paid too much closer to the blue canvas. Was it like extra
It
blue
was
than
extra blue
usual?
tonight.
Huh. I I watched like all 3 hours. Um, I had to pause the last 10 minutes and then get back to it. But I didn't notice the extra blue. I don't think.
I
I
think it
think
was.
I just
I think it's a little extra blue, and I think they've been using white ropes for a while now on SmackDown, but I'm pretty sure the mat the canvas itself is a little extra blue, being that their first night on SmackDown. So
oh
first night
for
on, I'm sorry, 3 hours on USA. Pretty much
yeah,
the handoff is what I want. What I'm getting at is it's kind of
okay.
felt like a handoff. Like, yes, USA is losing Raw technically, but here's a 3 hour Friday show that we're going to bring the same intensity as we brought with Raw, but with SmackDown essentially.
Yeah, I wonder if that was some sort of like handshake deal with the USA Network because Friday night viewership just on cable has always been pretty horrible unless it's the winter, which we're in now. But it's just been typically bad. I mean, I've even heard comedians talk about like when it was the old days of like you knew you made it when you got like a sitcom or
Right.
something, and but they would talk about like if they put you on a Friday night evening slot, they were putting you there to die.
Right. But SmackDown has been on Friday night for years now. I mean, yes, obviously it started on Thursday, but it's been on Friday nights for years.
True.
And I think, well, here's the problem you have something ballpark like 96 of the top 100 viewed events of 2023 were football games.
Yeah.
So you're not going to win the ratings that day. If there's a
Yeah.
football game on that night, you're not winning it. So there's football every Monday night.
Yeah.
So,
It's rough.
yeah. So taking that and going, okay, we concede Monday. Just, it's football. We get it. The likelihood that you're going to have a Friday night football game doesn't really pick up until late into the college football season and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they could claim the number one spot every Friday would probably pretty much ease going
Well,
forward.
I also meant it is that extra hour helps the USA Network where it's just like
Oh yeah. I just
wrestling is one of those things where it's just like, people are going to watch pretty religiously for the most part,
right.
other than, people that go a little casual like I have over the years. But it's like giving them another like guaranteed hour of like good viewership.
We'll also see how this goes down the road. But I remember that what used to be the case with Raw on the USA Network back in a different time era was people would tune in more for the last hour because they would change the rating for the last hour. If you remember, it would
Yeah.
start as TV 14, but that last hour could sometimes switch to TVMA depending on what they had a plan for,
Yeah.
and that made that last hour probably a higher rated hour for
It's
that
when they
reason alone.
switched to what the 10 o'clock hour going into 11.
11,
After 10, they could do whatever they wanted, just
pretty
about.
much, and so they would change to. You'd watch sometimes that TV rating would change going into the last hour.
Yes.
So they could do that again if they want to with that third hour, but I don't know if they're going to in today's climate. But they could if
Yeah.
the third hour ever falls off. But I don't think it will.
That's how
I
all the movie channels always used to be too. You
Yep.
hit the 10 o'clock hour, and then they backed it down to the 8 o'clock hour, and you'd start seeing more rated R movies and
Yep.
more risque stuff. But yeah,
But 10 o'clock was always that zone, and even as of 10, 15 years ago, because South Park did a whole episode.
oh, how many times they could say shit?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep, exactly. So we'll see. But I think Friday night's giving up Monday, essentially, moving the 3 hour version, essentially, that is what was Raw and feeling to SmackDown, keeping it on the USA Network. I think they're going to still have the number one highest rated show on cable most of the year. And
yeah,
they're just going to probably be able to change the wording to number one rated cable show, number one rated TV show or cable show on Friday nights once football season starts. Because the NFL is just a juggernaut you can't compete with. So,
yeah.
giving up Mondays for that, great. And then the viewerships on Netflix might supersede the viewerships of football because more households have Netflix now than cable TV. So
Yeah.
unless you have ESPN Plus, you're
I,
missing out essentially.
I'm surprised how long wrestling held on just staying on cable because man, it was somewhere in the 2000s or 2000 teens where it's just like I left just watching TV. Like I
Yeah.
went away from it.
Well, because it's a live sport technically, so they still make oodles of dollars being on live TV because that's what brings viewers to live TV. So the NFL, um, the other sports to a degree, and wrestling all could get massive TV deals because nothing sitcom, nothing TV wise is going to work on like old school, cable box TV anymore. But live sports still gets people to be there. So they were making tons of money on their TV deals. But they have for a long time now, have learned that even though you could probably try to drain more money out of these TV stations, if you got to make that change and evolve sooner than later if you want to stay ahead of the game. And I think that's what they're doing. They're evolving to move to Netflix sooner.
Yeah.
And
Look
their
at this
competitor
lady.
is doing the same thing. The competitor is moving to Max. You can watch AEW stuff on Max.
Oh, okay. My one viewer put sport in air quotes for sports for wrestling. she, she
That's
doesn't agree.
um
Sports entertainment, lady, get it right.
when someone can do the things in the ring that Ricochet or Will Ospreay can do, or has
She has no idea.
or the physical strength of a John Cena. Do we know? Does she know John Cena? Can we go with that one?
She knows of John Cena.
The man
She
bench
probably
pressed
doesn't know how strong.
500 pounds. Okay, so like,
Or how about Brock ripping a car door off? Or he
yeah.
wasn't supposed to rip the car door off, but he went like, "Fuck this
So
car,"
I
and I'm
see.
gonna throw it in the stands.
I don't think he meant to do that part.
No, but he almost hit a guy.
Yeah, with a car door.
Guy at the
Oh my
guardrail's like,
goodness.
"Holy shit!" Brock threw it all the way
So
over here.
fair enough. We can let's. I'll back off the sport part of it, but they're definitely athletes.
It's athletic, but not a sport.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um. Well,
How about
sometimes
this?
if someone hits someone the wrong way in the ring, it becomes a sport. It becomes a defensive thing real fast. I forget who it was. Somebody hit. I think Shane hit Brock, and it became a thing where that was not a good. No, Braun Strowman hit Brock supposedly.
Oh yeah, threw a knee in the Brock's face, way too snug, and Brock just came back with like, "I used to fight for the UFC," and punched the fuck out of his jaw.
Yep. Yep. So it can become a sport.
Yeah, well, that's a term she probably also doesn't know. That's called giving a receipt. You
Yes.
hit someone with a potato, and they go, okay, motherfucker, that was a little bit much. We're
Mm-hmm.
supposed to, you know, not use the F word, but you know, it's a work. You're not supposed
There
to
should be a little bit of
break my
pull to these
nose.
punches. There's yeah, should be a little bit
Yeah.
of so yeah, that does
So,
happen.
real quick for my viewer here, how about so that all three of us can see this, you go over to Matt Zimmer's stream and talk to him there, and all three of us will be able to see it, not just me. I
You
have to
can
keep
relay, it's
interrupting him.
fine. It doesn't matter that
I
much.
I can, but she can give you a view too.
It doesn't matter. We were doing pretty well. People just randomly popping in at first. We've really
Well,
slowed down with people just popping in. Sadly.
yeah.
Uh,
Oh yeah. I bet I know more wrestlers than you think, mostly from true crime. I'm like, yeah, okay. She gets all into these things like Jimmy Snuka, like killing his girlfriend on like the side of the
like the
road.
entire Vice series.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but then like I'll go to like try and sit down and watch some of the stuff with her or share something else. Like, I bet you haven't seen this yet. She's like, oh, we'll watch that. Like, you're the one that's bringing up this stuff. I'm trying to do things as a couple, and you're like, no.
It's fair though. I see her point. The true crime and the Vice series stuff was really well produced, and there's still some wrestlers like that today. I'm sure of it. But the reality was that was a much different time,
It was the
and
Wild West of they were just starting to get out of the whole carny kind of
right, and
situation.
there's still I'm sure wrestlers that are wrestling when they're not supposed to be on painkillers and things like that.
Oh yeah.
But it's a little bit more regulated for one, and two. Again, I go back to the whole like indie wrestler mentality. I gravitate when I go to the indie shows. You can see, not always. You can't always judge every book by their cover by any means, but you can go to an indie show and go, that guy's going to the after party. That guy's going to the after party. That guy's going to the after party. That guy is gonna clothesline a tree at the after party. That guy's gonna do something dumb at the after party, and that guy's probably just gonna go straight home. Like you can tell, like to a degree, the mentality of a lot of the people that are wrestling, what kind of category they fall into. Do they fall into a
Yeah.
category of people that are out, I'll say outgoing and maybe more carny
Mm.
like in theory? And this is what they're doing. They're having a good time. They're there for the character of it. They're there for a little bit of the beating of it, to be honest, the
Yeah.
hardcoreness of it. And then they're going to have a few beers with their friends and have a good night. And then you have people that look at it like a sport and they're going to train their ass off. They're going to go to the event. They're going to do their job and then they're going to go home. And
Yeah.
a lot of promoters think that's bad. A lot of promoters are like, you don't get to meet other wrestlers. You don't get to meet other promoters. You don't get to hear the stories. So they feel like it's a negative. To me,
Yeah,
it's a
but you also don't get messed up at a bar and then end up doing something that sounds like maybe fishy with like some girl at the bar or something. And
you
then
can
all of a
avoid
sudden,
all of that nonsense
you
100%.
know,
And supposedly, through the promoters here in this area, for example, someone who is very professional, who's done very well for himself, Seth freaking Rollins is one of those guys that would show up on time, be professional, do his job the right way, and then go home. Like he was gonna do everything you asked him to do, but he wasn't gonna go to the after party. He wasn't gonna do this or that. He was gonna do his job, do a good job, and leave. He was very professional and everything. Uh, and so you can do it. You don't need to be at every after party like some people might say or think. It's just there to have fun. But those
yeah,
are
that
not all of them, but those are kind of like I feel like more likely to find their way to the true crime series down the road
yeah,
because of their normal life choices versus the athlete who looks at it as a sport.
the Steiner brothers driving down the friggin' highway shooting guns in the air.
Why don't people
Yeah,
understand what goes up must come down? I don't understand why that's such a
I
hard concept.
yeah, I know. I don't get it.
But
Um,
so yeah, Um, SmackDown, we should get rolling here. Try to make sure we be under maybe no later than an hour and a half. I'd like to wrap it up.
Okay, we got 25 minutes now. Go, go,
Yeah.
go.
Because 2 hours is just, I think, too long for these podcasts, especially just for two shows. We can't be the length of one of the shows covering two shows. Uh,
Yeah.
so I don't know. Okay, but we covered the ring. We covered. We added an extra hour to SmackDown. My first thought right off the bat was we added an extra hour. And now Drew McIntyre is going to take an extra hour with his entrance to kick off the show. It was the
Wow.
slowest walk down and then stare down.
Did that a couple times tonight.
Yes, he just was not moving fast. He did no urgency at all. Uh, the ladder match is set up for Royal Rumble. I don't know if Drew's gonna be a good guy or bad guy in this scenario. He claimed he was friends with Cody. Didn't really help him when Kevin jumped him from behind. So we'll see.
Yeah, that doesn't come off as like, oh
Very
yeah,
helpful,
I wasn't gonna. Sure, I'm just trying to help you.
right?
Yeah, just like it's more like, no, you tricked me.
Yep. And then I'm suspecting that Drew is gonna end up hitting Jay again from behind at some
Oh
point because of always
yeah.
the watch your back statements.
Well, you had that watch your back statement, and then Drew shows up in for the match, the main event match, and Jay just goes like, "Oh yeah, okay. Well, I'm just gonna target you real quick,
Right.
take you out." So that almost seemed like that was almost like the comeuppance of like watch your back in this scenario, but we'll of course see more of it building up to it.
Yeah. Yeah. But
I took that as the moment.
it could have
Like,
been. You could be right.
hey,
I still
you
think he's
watched
going to
your
get hit
back.
from behind again. He's already been hit from behind by once by Drew, so I guess
Yeah, well, it's. I mean,
that's how it actually brought him back. He attacked.
they got a Royal Rumble match coming up.
Yeah.
It's. They're gonna keep building it.
Right. Um. See. That happened. I was more enthralled with the way they cut the show and the way they did the camera angles and stuff like that. I mean, the big story obviously was, it is now officially Tiffy time.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's
I thought they were just gonna tease it again. I didn't like get like frustrated with it or anything where it's just like, oh, they're just gonna tease again and jerk my chain, which honestly on their part for doing it like this for so long, great,
mm-hmm.
because I did not see it coming here. What I thought we were gonna get when she was cashing it in was when the second time she went for it and actually cashed it in. I thought we were gonna get a kick out. I thought it was taking too much time, and it was just enough to let Naya kind of get her faculties,
No chance.
even with the moonsault.
No chance.
No chance, huh?
No, sorry. I have no problem with Tiffy. Tiffy getting her time, getting her belt. Everyone loves her. She's a great face for the company. I have no problem with any of it. She brings a different element that a lot of people love. One of my friends has already bought the Money in the Bank Tiffy briefcase because it's all
God.
girly and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
great for that. I'm glad she got the belt. I'm glad they did all this stuff for that. My only problem with Tiffy getting the belt the way she did was that was a very good match that's no one's going to talk about because Tiffy cashed in.
Oh,
Naomi
yeah, you're right.
and Nia was a fantastic match. And then after that match, Bianca hits the KOD on Nia, which in another way is massively impressive. Her finish, the kiss of death. And Nia, meanwhile, took all of it very well and had a great set of matches. One match and then one move, and all of it's going to be forgotten because Tiffy cashed in. That's my only problem. That match was too good, in my opinion, to
To cash in.
overshadow it with the cash in. That's my only sad part about the situation. Uh,
Yeah, I mean you're not wrong.
that I mean
Like
that was
I absolutely see your point with that. I I don't know, in a way maybe that's why I was kind of seeing it as like, oh, they're just teasing us again. Where I didn't think it was going to happen, then it did. I'm like,
mhm.
holy shit! They actually
They actually
did
did
it.
it. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it's one of those
So
things. Was they had it? It feels like this was the thing they threw a bone to USA. They're building such a massive Netflix debut card that they wanted to go into it with some momentum, but also give USA something else. So I feel like this was the USA moment they gave. You know what I mean? Like the
yeah,
cash in and put Tiffy with the belt on USA. So
one of those moments where it's like, if you're not watching live on USA, you just missed this.
right,
Belt changed.
right, massive. You know, the face that the person we want to be the face of the women's division on one side, which also
Yeah,
works too because Tiffy isn't too uh, scandalous, so to speak. You got
yeah,
Rhea and Liv over here, like licking each other and stack pinning each other constantly, and different stuff like that. That's going to Netflix. And then
yeah.
here's, you know, Bailey, Nia, Tiffy, all on SmackDown, putting on Naomi, who just put on a great match. But it's way more typical TV friendly type of stuff. So I think it makes a lot of sense to give the belt to Tiffy and let her be the face of it that way. And then let the bad girls go run Netflix essentially. So I
Yeah.
think it makes a lot of sense. But again, I just felt bad for Naomi and Nia. Um, and then eventually Bianca for being able to pull off that KOD. All of that super impressive stuff. And in 2 weeks, we're just going to talk about her cashing in.
Yeah.
So,
I was before that match got started, I was just saying to myself, just sitting here alone watching, just like going like, I'm so sick of Nia being the champion. And then that cash in happens. I'm like, that was a really good match. And with
yep.
you kind of pointing it out, I'm like, was I that sick of it? Maybe I could schedule like another moment.
Man, if the matches
But
kept going that way, I would have been fine with her being champion for longer. She was perfect. I disliked her when she took the mic, but I was supposed to dislike her, so she nailed it. Like,
yeah,
um, there was some footage of a house show where she wrestled Michin, um, where she's going back and forth with a fan. Fantastic. Uh, she, as a performer, has grown a great deal, in my opinion. So,
yeah, I would definitely say these last few months, what I had complained about Naya in the past, where it's just like, it takes like six women to like move her around and do anything with her. It's just like fighting a house. Not anymore. She's learning how to kind of go one on one and actually take things from these smaller girls and also help them with the weight disparity where it's just like
right.
one of the things where she had that it was like it was not quite a pop up into like what is it, the getting them into the fireman's carry and then dropping back. I know when the
Oh, the
Samoans
Samoan
do
drop.
is, oh, it is just a Samoan drop,
Yep.
like in general.
Yep.
I thought the move had like another generic name, but
I,
anyways,
yeah.
that doing that, I mean, you didn't even see where it's just like she's going with that better to
Yeah.
kind of like sell
It
it,
looked super
alleviate it
clean when
from
her.
her
It
opponent.
it was quick, but it looked clean when Naomi
Yeah,
did that to her tonight.
well, it looks really good quick.
Right.
Because if you do it slow with Naya, the struggle of her having more weight is going to be apparent. You
Right.
do it quick, it just looks like, oh,
Yeah.
ow.
Yep. Exactly. And so yeah,
Almost looks like a power move.
which is why it's so impressive to me that Bianca hit the KOD on her because that's a a slow move. You've got to like
Yeah,
torture rack them and then
yeah.
flip them safely over for the rest of that move. And the fact that she pulled that off is also
I
massively impressive.
I think she's already done it to Nia once. I think it was one
Probably
of the pay-per-views she's done it. So it's not quite a new thing, but still to see it every time is impressive.
right, and it looks super clean. So I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah, not being dangerous with it.
right. It wasn't like sometimes as time went on, Undertaker's tombstones became serious tombstone risks because you know, trying to hoist up Goldberg or Goldberg trying to jackhammer somebody as they get in their 50s and 60s became a sketchier situation.
Yeah, or the like tombstone reversal thing
That's
where
what I'm
they
really
have to do
thinking
the
of him and Roman
yeah,
doing the tombstone reversal thing. That's really what I'm
yeah.
thinking of. The actual
I mean
tombstone he did okay with for the longest time, but I think the reversal part with Roman is the one that sticks out the most for sure.
that's stuff when you gotta do when you're like younger.
Yeah.
Like you can't do that when you're towards the end.
Yeah.
You know me, like Undertaker is my favorite
Of course.
character of all time, period. But I mean, I was kind of sitting here going like, dude, it's time to retire. Like a a good couple years before he did, where I'm like, I'm seeing the slowdown where you just look like an old man out there, and I love the man, but
Yeah.
I don't know when when I start to not lose my fandom, but where I'm just like seeing it and going like, it's not good. It's kind of time
Right.
to hang it up.
Right.
That's how I'm doing interviews, going like, I'll know when it's time to hang it up. People will be telling me. I'm like, people must not be telling you that you
Right.
need to stop.
Yeah.
Like,
You
I
need to
love
ask
you, man,
different
but
people.
yeah, you must have a bunch of yes men that are afraid to tell you, like, dude, you don't look good out there.
Listen, just go to Twitter and do a poll. Do that right now for me, all right?
Yeah.
But no, you're absolutely right. And the problem is, it's hard to give it up. I'm sure it's insanely hard to give it up.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's still like involved enough where I'm sure he's kind of jonesing to get back in there. They just got to tell him like, no,
Right. Well, I think the reports are
you.
Ric Flair wants to have another match yet. Thinks he has
Oh
one
my
more
god,
left in him.
yeah. Well, Flair's also been the one to say like, I'll die in the ring. It's okay. So it's like nobody wants your death on their friggin' card, man. They
No,
don't.
they
They
don't want the
they
insurance situation. They don't want any of it.
they don't want the next thing that has the name that will live on forever, like the Montreal Screwjob, with the Ric Flair death match.
Right.
He actually died. Like
Well,
nobody wants
I
that
don't know if
one.
he can have another match without some type of financial penalty because he wrestled Ric Flair's last match.
Oh yeah, yeah. They did make a
They paid a
stipulation.
big deal. I think they probably paid a good chunk of money to be able to advertise it as Ric Flair's last match.
Oh
And
yeah.
so we'll see how that works out. I'm sure I don't think they will, but if WWE wanted to, I'm sure they could foot the bill for whatever the infringement on the last match clause is. But
Oh, yeah, Miss Cleveland there. If you were saying there's way too many premature deaths in wrestling as it is, Ric Flair wouldn't be premature at this point. It would be
that's
like it's about his time.
yeah, that sounds mean, but he's not
it's
wrong. Ric Flair is
it's
up there in age.
it's put your grandpa in the ring and be like, all right, have a match and don't have a stroke in there and die or something. Oh, God, he's gonna die.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad.
It's not good. His last few where he keeps going like, "This is my last match. This is my last match," have been a bit
I think he even admitted to
scary
falling
to watch.
asleep during one of his last matches. He started to fall asleep.
How you do that?
Cause grandparents can fall asleep instantly. It's just normal.
What do you
Usually
do?
in a
Go up to
recliner,
his.
but
What do you do? Go up to his opponent and go like,
I
"Chop
think
the
he
shit
was
out of
sitting
me
in
in
the.
the corner. I'm
I
falling
think he
asleep."
was sitting in the corner. I think he was literally like sitting on the mat in the corner, either laying with his head like on the turnbuckle or like Raven style.
I'm getting ready to take a Bronco Buster.
Oh God, still can't believe he ripped his
Oh God, yeah, ripped his cornhole doing
Yep.
that,
Yep.
and he's
Poor
just
X
like,
Pac.
"Yeah, I kept everything pretty tight because my gear is like a scuba suit, and then I got out of my scuba suit, and it's just like blood." Like, oh
Oh,
God, don't
so
tell me
bad.
that story.
There was a match probably in 2012 or 13 where he wrestled Sami Zayn, by the way. Sami Zayn was El Generico at the time. Fantastic match.
Yeah,
X Pac versus El Generico was a fantastic match. Um,
yeah,
just
I
some of
believe
those
it.
random gems you can find on like indie wrestling streams.
Yeah.
But yeah, what else is of any
She wrote me a
major?
paragraph talking about strokes, heart attacks, because that shit's hard on the body and the startling number of murders and suicides.
Well, that's closer to CTE issues
Yeah,
um, that caused a lot of the potential, you know, unfortunate tragedies that involve family members and themselves.
yeah, too many
Um,
blows to the head.
the heart and stroke issues. Now, there's a lot of elements that could lead to that, in my opinion. You have the obvious. Um, I don't. You don't really have too many hard shots to the chest unless you're facing Nia Jax or Yokozuna, and then they should control their fall down to the chest. So cardiac issues like that to me rely on two major things, in my opinion. One being any prescribed or unprescribed medications that wrestlers are taking, and then two, um, the um, the way the body has to handle their frame. So, what I mean by that is a lot of these guys are big, just really big, and that's especially back in the old school days. Now you have people like Finn Balor who cut out all sugar, all this, all that, and he's 165 pounds at 5'8". He looks shredded. He also looks like you could shoulder check him and knock him out of the ring if you meet him in
Yeah,
person. Um, but if you have the Hulk Hogan, the Chris Benoit, those muscle types, people don't realize that they're jacked, but that heart still has to pump enough blood to power that muscle tissue. So it's almost equal to, if not worse, than being obese because that heart still has to do all that work,
yeah,
especially after a workout or after a match, because all that blood is going to the muscle tissue. And if you're on creatine, for example, which is actually supposedly good for your heart in some studies, again, not a doctor, don't know for sure, mild, small amounts, supposedly. But it is used; those are mono. That's what's water based, monohydrates. So again, you're pulling water and more to build that look. Well, that's a lot of work for your heart. So if you are a Chris Benoit and your traps go to your earlobes, like that's hard on the heart. That's hard on the cardiovascular system. So it's why a lot of guys, as they get older, they still train religiously, your Stallones, your stuff like that. But they change their diet and they change the workout habit because they realize they want to be in shape, but they can't be Rambo shape. They need to be a different type of in shape. And you have that happen a lot. Wrestlers can't do that. They lose the image, they lose the paycheck. So I think a lot of them carried that physique way too long, and it hurts cardiovascularly
that's
their
why,
body.
that's why Joe Rogan keeps kind of ripping on the Rock and going like, "That can't be natural." What he's got there, he's too old of a man. It, it just can't be. He's taking something, little T replacement therapy, something.
T replacement therapy is supposedly safe.
Well, even Rogan goes like, I'm taking a little bit of T replacement, not a lot, but a little bit. Like I'm on stuff, but it's because I'm older and I
Right.
need the help. I'm just trying to take a safe amount.
So here's your problem with your T replacements as terms of a supplement. Most of them, if you read the labels, are like 2,000% of your daily vitamin D. That's what most of them are. They'll mix some
Yeah,
other stuff in there, but it's a lot of vitamin D and again, a handful of other things. Um, some of your really strong ones, on the other hand, are there's a couple different plant extracts that if you read the ingredients of if you come across it in the ingredient label and then go compare to like you go through whatever white pages you find or even if you just find the wiki page for crying out loud, most of them that have I can't think of the extract in it, but it is comparable to what steroids do to you over a long period of time. That T replacement supplement is going to work like a charm for that reason. Um, but most of them, what you're going to find is that the ingredients they put in there, in terms of muscle mass, if you read like the Mayo Clinic review of it or the Cleveland Clinic review of it, is there's not a high level of um, science saying it will help you build muscle mass. Almost all of them will help with your sex drive. Like that's they
Yeah,
almost all say it has shown studies that this will help there. But in terms of actual muscle mass, a lot of them don't. So it really comes down to about 2 or 3 key ingredients, and there are 2 or 3 key ingredients that I would not ingest personally. Um, but if you go to like, I don't know if Restore. No, I don't think Restore does it. There is one locally here that does it too. That goes in, measures your T count by blood work. They're all doctors, and they treat you through blood work, and they increase your T levels that way, versus through pills and extracts. And I think the T replacement through the way the doctors do it in those types of clinics seem, I don't know if there's any real studies out, but seem safer than just popping pills that are 2,000% of your daily vitamin D and a couple plant extracts that have similar side effects as steroids.
yeah.
um,
That's very much how Rogan talked about him and some of his comedy friends. Is just like, we're going through doctors and having it looked at and
right.
prescribed the right amount.
And that's been the
We're
thing
not
for about the
just,
past 10 years doing it that way now.
and hopefully that's what The Rock is doing too.
The
He's not just,
The
you
Rock,
know,
here's what I can say about The Rock. And I don't know obviously for certain anything. The man is religious on his diet. All powerlifters are religious on their diet, which is eat everything in sight because you need the calories.
yeah,
The Rock often doesn't have abs. And he'll say he doesn't have abs. He's like, I don't need abs. Why do I need abs? I'm not Roman Reigns. Um, if he starts showing up with like defined abs and 8s and 12 packs while with having that mass, then he's definitely on some stuff. I think there's a chance that he is legit because of his diet. He's probably taking some supplements, but I don't think he's taking anything that you can't go buy at GNC.
yeah.
But I also think part of it is too is that he doesn't lose it. He doesn't fluctuate. I think if he got out of that habit and lost that mass and lost that stuff, it'd be next to impossible for him to get back to it again. But because
That's why every day at 3 a.m. he's clanging and banging.
right, I think the minute he stops, the idea of getting back to it again will become almost impossible. But until he stops, I think his body is so fundamentally routine in this that he can do it. Now it will break down. He will hit 60 and not look like, King Kong. Like he won't look like Godzilla. He won't be the biggest, scariest monster in the room. It's gonna happen. But I
Yeah.
think it's as long as he keeps doing what he's doing, I think your body kind of formulates that consistency and you can roll with it for a while.
What's scaring me about Finn Balor is the tissue that's kind of like around his eyes is like sinking into his eye sockets, and his eyes are becoming kind of bulgy, and then it's all depressed in, and then you have eye socket. And I'm like, I hope that's just a sign of your age and not your
Yeah, I mean
diet and what you're putting your body through.
he's like my age. He's actually I think he's older than I am. by like a
I
year.
don't. Well, I guess maybe it could just be happening to him, but most people like around our age should not have their eyes looking like that yet.
No, I
Like that should be
agree.
another 20, 30 years
I
down the
mean,
road.
okay, the eyes bulging could be a thyroid issue, but I don't think the depth of the eye socket would go hand in hand with that. He
Well,
is
it's
he's the exception to the rule, in my opinion, because I've seen his workout routine. I know that he just doesn't like sugar. Period. Um,
yeah, I wish I could hate sugar or just stop it. That would help me so much.
so the man trains very well, and he trains in a way that I would say is safe for his body. I would like to still be bigger than Finn Balor. Like that's like I don't want to be a buck 60 soaking wet personally, but for what he's doing, I can accept the fact that I feel like it's a very good routine for his body to cut the sugar out. He's at a good low weight, but he's super shredded. If anything, his body could probably use a little bit more fats. And I don't care what people say about sugar. In small doses, there have been studies that show that it helps your quick twitch muscle tissues for faster
Yeah.
reaction times.
Yep.
Um, but he also does a lot of goofy training. He does a lot of off balance training. He will do stuff like he'll do like fireman carries with weight off balance on one side. He will do bench presses with weight different on both sides of the bar to
Uh,
force stabilizing muscles.
yeah.
Um, which
Rather
is
than you just using the same muscles, you kind of like it's kind of like the things that kind of like trick your muscles, where it's just like don't be just putting up the same weight. You're gonna get used to it. Like you gotta sort of like not stress out your muscles, but trick it into going like, oh crap, this is
there's
heavier
ways
all
to
of a
do
sudden.
that, and you're right. But there's actually the ligaments and the other areas around the muscle tissue that are considered stabilizing muscles. When you're
Yeah.
using both sides of your normal muscle tissue, major, minor pectorals, you know, delts, triceps, if you're doing like the secondary part of your benching, they're going to balance each other out. But the minute you offset the weight, you now have to use the ligaments that are those balancing scenarios to balance the weight. It's the big difference between, it's one of the big difference, not the only big difference, of using a Smith machine every single time you squat. Now, one of the machines that has you like on pulleys that you do squats with, for example,
Uh,
versus a squat machine that doesn't have any pulleys for what you're doing. Both are fantastic if you use them correctly. I know there's people that swear that Smith machines are the worst. They're too assisted. They don't help. Use it appropriately for what you want to do.
that would actually get me back into doing squats because I tore both my knees just using a squat rack.
Yeah, this is it guides you down a little bit more, and you can kind of like you feel a difference using a Smith machine versus a squat rack. It definitely does have a difference. Um, but do I think you should? If you've torn both your knees, obviously do whatever is comfortable for your knees. But would I approach leg day where I did squats one day and then maybe use the Smith machine for them for a while, then go back to normal free weight squats? Yes, again, because you're using more core and more stabilizing muscles when you do a free range squat versus when you use a Smith machine. When the bar
Yeah.
is perfectly level, no matter what you do, you're not going to engage the obliques. You're not going to engage the lower back. You're not going to engage nearly as much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So squats have their place on a squat rack, and then you have your place with the Smith machine. It's just using both tools appropriately. So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
I,
Smith. You if
I
you had
know
issues with your knees, you could do that. I also would recommend um,
the type that are just like you kind of sit down and you kind of put your legs up in the air and you're
leg press.
pushing, yeah, leg press. That sort of thing seems to be better with this situation because I'm just kind of afraid. Like I go to take a squat and oh, I can't get back up, or I'm really hurting a knee.
Squats are rough on the knees. They are. Get some knee sleeves if you ever want to do them.
Especially after you've damaged them.
Yeah, get some knee sleeves if you want to do them. Knee sleeves are tough. They
She
fight to
thinks you
put
need to
on.
do fitness content.
What?
She thinks you need to do fitness content, which I agree. Yeah,
I
I,
I would consider it. Um, I'm also just at the age now too where recovery is a big thing. So again, you saw me do cryo a couple times in the coldest temperatures. I've sent you guys pictures of that and those videos where you come out and the whole room's foggy with stuff. I just got
Yeah.
my own cold plunge tub. Um, uh,
Oh, you did it.
I got it. I
You bit
got
the
the cold
bullet and
plunge.
did it.
Yep,
Nice.
I got the cold plunge tub. I bought it came in a set with a sauna tent. So a sauna tent is like a sauna, but it's a pop up one. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't have a permanent place to put this. I don't have my permanent gym built at
It's
home
like
yet.
it's like me popping up a blind in my house
Pretty
for hunting.
much. And then what happens is like you pretty much have a crock pot next to it that boils some water, and then the steam goes through a diffuser, and you have a
I
steam
don't,
sauna.
I don't have to buy this at all. I have a hunting blind and we got a crock pot
You
that
just
just kind of got like damaged and we can use it for
just
our
catch
own
the
little.
steam and funnel the steam into the blind.
Oh, well, wife, guess what we're doing with our crock pot and my hunting blind
It's
now?
what it looks like. It looks like that, or it
Gonna
looks like
make
a
a steam
fondue
room.
melter thing. I haven't used it yet. I wanted to use it tonight, but there's no way by the time we get out of here that I'm going to have time to use it. And then I'm going to make sure that I unplug everything and everything cools down before I go to bed because I've never used it before. I don't know how hot some things get related to it, and I'd rather just be safe than sorry. But yeah, so I big component of all that stuff of cold plunging, of saunas. If you want to do the hot cold therapy, that's your deal. I would not do it that way. I'm not going to jump in one then go in the other, then jump in the other again. I would do one in the morning, one in the evening. That's just me, for a lot of different reasons. But this ain't a fitness podcast, so I'm going to shut up now.
Fair enough. Yeah. Okay. Well, 137, and we're still not anywhere
No,
near done with SmackDown.
no.
Okay.
That's why I'm going to stop with
Let's.
fitness content.
All right, let's keep going with that. What is the next thing with SmackDown you want to talk about? We gotta jump to the middle with
Well, what I
Tiffy
missed in the
time.
beginning that you want to talk about?
Um, God, I was remembering this show so much better until we started getting in all
Fitness?
the NXT stuff and
Oh,
fitness and
yeah. Sometimes I think especially on like Monday night. I don't think there's anything that's before Monday Night Raw now, which is good
yeah,
because we should dive into the thing that just happened more than likely. We should start
yeah,
there.
yeah. Honestly, we should just start with SmackDown. It was all fresh, and
Yep.
then bumble through trying to remember NXT.
NXT, yeah.
But yeah, for the shows that like aren't what we just watched, I ought to cover it second, and also like probably have the card up
Well,
at least just to be like, okay, I remember all
right.
this and
Takes
refresh our
two
memory.
second. Like Bleacher Report has the card. You can always look at Bleacher Report for the reviews of their shows and stuff. But
Yeah.
and that at least give you the card as well and key points. But um, so there was a tag match that was also more in the middle. DIY versus Motor City Machine Guns.
Oh yeah,
The
yeah. They were
rematch for
kind
the
of
titles.
kind of out for
That,
blood with that one.
hmm?
That turned into some chaos.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Corey Graves on announcing, I like him, but it's very interesting because
Oh
he's so for the heel so often, but he wasn't for Gargano. He was just specifically against Gargano the entire
yeah.
card.
Did you notice all the references to the Cleveland wrestlers? Like
Yes.
they mentioned like the Duke and all that, and just like, oh, it's the reason these folks in that area hadn't like gotten ahead, and they probably should have because Johnny Gargano was there keeping them down and stabbing them in the back.
Yep.
Like, oh crap! They mentioned the Duke.
Yep. Yep. Fantastic stuff. I was
I
so.
wonder if Johnny kind of like fed him some info first, like,
Corey's
okay,
been through AIW.
oh yeah, yeah, okay, that's
So
right.
Corey's been through there. So he's met the Duke. He's been through there and all that stuff. So I don't know how many times, maybe a handful at most, but he knows the area. He knows the people. He's met them all.
Okay.
So it's just funny he called it the Duke.
That was great because we were just talking about that too, like recently, and they go the Duke. I'm like,
Yep.
oh, holy crap!
Yep. Well, and also he mentioned stuff like Gargano's finisher or one of his two, the Gargano escape, for example. referring to it as the Motor City Stretch, and that Alex Shelley had it first, and Gargano stole it and renamed it his thing, and so on and so forth. So they did a good job with that. Saw all the Motor City machine gun moves that we always see, and performed very, very well. Oh, I forgot to mention this. So MCM hits the dive through the ropes, no problem. I'm happy to see Shotzi was okay after her dive. By the way,
Yeah.
they went to do a very similar thing, and she got her feet caught up and fell almost straight down in her
Yeah.
match.
The yeah when you're talking about like kind of like the like sort of like spinning planches through the rope for NXT. There's a every time I hear about those or see them, I'm always worried that like the toe's gonna hook the
See,
rope and just
the
plop
dive
them
through
straight
the
down.
rope is probably more dangerous than the spin through the rope. The
Yeah,
dive through the rope, you have to make sure you flatten out and get those toes curled back and keep the head down to make that dive. If you don't get the speed or you don't get your toes leveled out and they catch that bottom rope, you instantly like grappling hook yourself into the ground because your
yeah.
pivot point becomes your toes at your foot and you spike yourself. And
Yeesh.
Shotzi's good at jumping out of the ring. She's done it a million times. Uh, just one of those things where she just maybe didn't have enough speed, but she caught and it looked nasty, but she got back up and she was part of the next catch. So all things seem to go. She seems okay. So I'm glad to hear it or see it at least. She's also famous for diving out into a pyramid of chairs. I don't know if you
Oh,
ever saw that video or not. The person moves and she dives like second row of
ow.
like four rows of chairs stacked or something like that. Something ridiculous.
Yeah.
So she's
Ugh.
tough. She is super tough, but she had a rough time with it. Chris goes right between Alex Shelley's legs like it's nothing on his dive. But I'm sure he's hit before. Everyone's clipped the rope. The um, the scariest one to me is the somersault plancha through the middle rope. You need a ton of speed for that. You run, you dive, you flatten out, and as soon as your feet clear the rope, you tuck your head and chin and you somersault.
Oh my god. So you just like
You dive through like a missile, and then you tuck and roll in midair for your somersault part of it.
cool lord. So you throw like you hit with like a back, your
Yep,
butt, or
exactly.
legs.
Yep.
Oh, jeez.
Robbie Eagle did it fantastically against Osprey back in Australia like 10 years ago. But other people do it too. Ray Phoenix does it.
I guess that kind of gives you a chance that as long as you pull it off correctly of like having kind of a better landing, like
the
more of
risk of
a
landing scorpion style goes down when you're landing on your back. You know what I mean? Because even if you
yes,
dive this way, if there's no one there to catch, you could easily start to fall on your face. You know what I mean?
yes,
So yeah, I
and
agree. But it's gotta be terrifying because you have to wait the whole time. You have to wait in Superman before you can tuck. Has to be terrifying.
yeah, I always worry about those sorts of moves, like how people have broken their arms doing like a five-star frog splash, where it's just like you break your hands, break your wrists, because you're kind of like catching yourself, and the floor is coming, and if
Yeah.
your opponent and your the people supposed to catch you, if they don't catch you well enough, and you go out to brace yourself, ow, break
Yeah.
some. I would much rather tuck my head and chin and just flat back, even if it's on the concrete, and roll through it and be like, okay, that friggin' hurt my back, but I didn't break anything.
Yeah.
Just
It's one of those.
ow.
It's one of those things that it's a natural reaction to try to catch yourself, but that's typically how you get yourself hurt. Is putting your arms down in a way that doesn't work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, you learn how to fall. Every one of these single people have learned how to fall, disperse the weight properly, tuck your chin the right ways. I mean, I'm sure they've even learned how to make the biggest noise when they hit the ground. It's all about cupping your hands certain ways and dissipating over your entire arm. It's the same martial arts. We learn how to fall like year 2, we work on falling from sitting and rolling back to kneeling and rolling back or to the sides to standing to then being thrown. It's a whole process.
Yeah.
But you just get freaked out for 1 second and put your arm in a way that doesn't make sense, and you got a
Right.
a slinky for an arm.
Like slipping on ice when you don't expect it.
Right, falling
You,
backwards a big one.
you,
You're not supposed to put your arms back like this. You're just gonna jar your arms to death.
yeah,
Um,
you don't have the sense in the moment to
it's like
fall correctly because you didn't expect to fall.
right, exactly. You're just like, I don't want to crack my head. That's what's coming, into your mind. So even if you know how to fall, if you just have that momentary lapse because you're scared for a second because you are falling, I mean that's
You, even the best thing to do when if you're slipping on ice, you're gonna fall on your back. Probably the best thing to do is just like don't put your arms out. Almost go like pencil diving and tuck your chin into
yep.
your chest so
Protect the
you don't
back of that head the best you
smack the
can.
back of your head and just let your back take the brunt of it and be
Like
like, well, most
90,
likely when you're out there, you're wearing a coat, you got padding.
some puffiness, and hopefully a hat of some sort.
Yeah.
Yeah, 99% of the time, tuck your chin. Styles clash, don't tuck your chin. Everything else, pretty much tuck your chin. That's the one time, don't tuck your chin. That move, don't do that. Lean back as hard as you can.
Owen
But
Hart goes a pile drive you. Tuck your chin. It's not gonna help you, but hey,
I mean, might as
you've
well.
tried.
Maybe you can roll through with it. RVD.
Oh, with a
just
pile
put your
driver?
just put your arms up.
Roll
Handstand your
through
way
with
out of it. Handstand your way out of it. That's how you do it. I think RVD did that one time. He took power drivers goofy. I think one time he put his hands out and like sprung back to his feet, and the other time he took a power driver, and the way he contracted himself, he like springed out of it off his neck. It looked like he died. It looked like he had a spring for a neck with the way he launched out of the pile driver. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was that match. I don't know what else we missed in the middle. Did we miss anything else in the middle of it?
Yeah. Let's see here. So DIY, I think, was what we were just kind of talking about.
Right,
That
right.
was
Oh,
kind of
and
in the middle. Um,
yeah, Pretty Deadly's gonna be
did
involved
it
so on.
started off with Shinsuke Nakamura versus Andrade.
Yeah, good match, but
Pretty good, yeah. And then LA Knight coming out to a gigantic pop to attack
right, which is
Shinsuke.
another one where I feel bad because like that's another one was a really good match, and that's completely overshadowed by LA Knight. Which is fine for the storyline, but hopefully, obviously, people in the back look at Andrade's match and keep him relevant to some degree. Because if you put on good matches, I want you to be on the card some more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know when his wife's coming back or his ex-wife. I don't know if they're together or not anymore. Charlotte.
Oh.
They were-
Charlotte and who?
And Andrade,
Oh.
Shinsuke's opponent.
Oh, I didn't know those two were.
They were together.
Oh.
Then they broke up. I don't know if they ever got back together or not.
Ew.
Yeah.
Okay then.
So, but yeah, good match overall. But it's LA Knight's show. I think they're going to give LA Knight a push again going into Mania. I don't know if he's taking back the title from Shinsuke or not, but I think they're going to give him a decent push going into Mania.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's still, wanting a rematch with him and feuding. Over
Yeah, but he even
that
said his
belt
next,
getting taken.
immediately following that, his thought is on the Royal Rumble.
Okay.
So I don't know if he's going to win the Rumble, but that's this is the time of year where everybody goes, well, my main focus is now the Rumble.
Yeah.
So
True. Well, other than that, we had Michin going against Piper Niven.
fun match.
Um,
Michael Cole telling Corey Graves that Michin calls that the long back attack, her twerk.
Oh,
Made me laugh a little bit.
yeah.
Michin's fantastic. We've met her. She's friends with a friend. She's just fantastic overall. So I root for her whenever she's in the ring.
Yeah, as I know WWE does matches like this where it's just like if you got like a two friend kind of stable, whether they're well they are a tag team, uh, but you know it. She doesn't win the title against Chelsea Green, and then it, you get like not like a rematch match against her partner Piper,
Right.
and it's just like I kind of get it, but in a way it's just kind of like deflating in a way where it's just like that's not who I want to see you wrestle. I want
Right.
you to fight the other one.
I think it's a good move overall because it keeps the rivalry fresh without keeping the match repetitive, is the thought. It allows her to bicker with Chelsea, the Canadian who's the U.S. champion.
Yeah,
And,
that's like in a full USA
oh,
outfit. That's
she's
just like
full.
we all know you're friggin' a damn dirty Canuck. What are you doing here?
So nice, too. I've met her. She's super nice.
I know, I'm sure she is, but
And I
you know,
love Canadians.
she's playing a heel, so
She
you
is. She is.
can't just go
Um,
like, oh yeah, she's great. Well, I guess you can.
yeah,
Um,
especially as adults. We can
yeah,
do that now. But uh, they do, like I said, I think they obviously do it just so they keep the rivalry fresh while keeping the matches from being stale. It's safe to say, essentially, if you are working into a major pay per view or whatever, the house shows Chelsea and Meechin are going to be working together, even if it's 6-man tags or tag team matches or this or that. They're still working their spots, so it gives them a chance in the out of sight to work on stuff, keep the rivalry fresh on screen, and then the next major like Royal Rumble or whatever, they can bust out new stuff. So it makes
yeah,
sense, but I can see why you look at it as deflating. But
yeah.
Piper's not a small stepping stone of any sort. Piper's got some history to her. She's a good wrestler, and she has the power aspect to her. So Meechin going in and beating Piper shouldn't be as deflating as it seems.
Well, yeah, it wasn't because of going in and defeating her. It's just kind of
It's not the match you wanted. It's not the Chelsea
yeah,
Green match. That makes sense.
and I
This
it
is the
wouldn't
lead up
matter
though.
if it wouldn't matter if it's now or like 25 years ago. You know, it's not like wanting like instant gratification now that like with like the internet and so on we've so gotten into in this day and age. Oh, I kind of felt the same way 25 years ago as well.
Right.
So
Nah, it's just one of those things they can't give you the same match every single night. So
yeah,
it's a way for them to give you the same story arc, but without it being the same match run back again.
yeah.
So
Uh, well, for all those matches, the only thing that's really left is the Bloodline 3-on-3 6-man tag match.
I'm gonna lead off with the stuff that happened right before that with the bloodline, which is
Oh,
Solo trying to steal the wise man and make the wise man a hostage.
oh yeah,
You will
like
be my
it,
wise man forever.
yeah. If I win, you have to put the Ula follow on me, and
The
you are
waffle
my wife.
whatever. What did LA Knight call that thing again? I
the
love LA
the
Knight.
waffle falafel.
The waffle falafel.
Yeah, it sounds like something out of
Oh, man, I definitely don't want to
the
Google
Waffle
that. I don't
House.
want to Google that. That sounds like something I don't want to Google.
Yeah, that's the
Um,
Waffle House special. That's what you get
and they
when you
look
go
like
in there for your
chilies, don't
birthday.
they? Don't they look like chili peppers?
Yes, yeah, they have always looked like that to me. They
Okay.
always look like chili peppers. I'm just like, is this supposed to look like chili peppers? Like,
I don't understand the culture. If it's a real super important thing, that's fantastic, and I'm glad because I don't have anything in my culture that has any of that importance. I
it
have to
looks like
go.
they repainted them
They do. They look really
lately.
shiny. They look like a wax or like a wax based paint because they're super shiny too.
Because a few months ago, I was noticing like the wood was like showing on them. Like,
Mm,
unless they've came up with another set. The first set was wooden and just painted red like that. And where they'd
I
rub off the
wonder if that
paint,
was
and you could see the
intentional.
paint.
If you
To
can,
look worn,
I
maybe.
wonder if the change happened when Solo was started wearing them.
Uh, like what? All of a sudden, got like they're like really painted up now.
The OTC's tradition, Solo's new hotness. So
So
Solo paints
it
him, makes him look brand new, whereas Roman was more about this is tradition. I wear this out of tradition and honor.
well, it did happen while Solo was wearing them. It did do that. So you're basically asking if it was like purposely done this way.
Right. The show the lack of respect for heritage and history from Solo versus Roman, who we all thought was, a jerk, but these small details show his attention to his family, his
Uh,
bloodline, and history.
yeah, maybe. I didn't put that much thought into it. I thought maybe that would high definition TV. It was just really easy to see them kind of worn, and they were seeing it too, and just went like, they kind of need a paint job.
It's hard for me to say what's actually going on. There's some elements they have so much attention to detail that I wouldn't put it past them, and there's other elements where it's like, here's meat and potatoes. Like this is the most basic thing we can give you, and so I don't know which it is, but I could see in a world where they want to spin it that way, where Roman has his heritage, his history, all this good stuff about him that shows his love for his family and and the ancestors and the way they did things. And here Solo just wants to look cool, have bright new fancy things, and even things that were old and have history, they need to look fresh and new on him, which kind of fits the way they come out. Roman's coming out in track gear or t-shirt and whatever, looking like he's ready to actually compete. And Solo always comes out in a damn suit like he's a mobster.
Yeah, I think that's just kind of going with the imagery right now.
But even back when Roman was the tribal chief and had his whole party, the fanciest he ever got was like a rock tracksuit from head to toe. I can't think of a time he came out in a suit of any sort. Like he,
Uh, no, but before he was just doing like kind of like suit, well, trek pants and a shirt. He was doing the vest from it was kind of the holdover from the Shield days. Like
right.
he still had that look going, and he had that going. I think for the beginning of him doing the tribal
Yes, he
chief
did
stuff,
start with
getting
it.
that started.
And then eventually he just lost the shirt and everything. Probably when he put some more time into the gym, honestly.
Oh yeah, well, probably. Uh, this one over here. I hate that you guys are making me halfway think the story might be interesting. The story on the bloodline is been going on for years now,
It's
and
a
if you,
real slow burn.
yeah, it is. But if you play catch up now, where you could, pretty much you can find it on YouTube, just all of the moments put all together, you can get caught up, and
There's a
yeah,
lot.
you have the potential to fall in love with the bloodline like the rest of us have. So
they did a really good job with this very slow storytelling of weaving in elements along the way. Everything from him and a partner back in the day named Seth Rollins being part of a group and Seth turning on him and hitting him in the back with a chair. That was probably 12 years ago now, at least 10.
yeah,
2 years ago's WrestleMania. Seth defending the guy trying to beat Roman Reigns, coming out dressed in the same garb, which was called the Shield, and he takes a chair shot from Roman while dressed as the Shield member, going back full circle to how he betrayed Roman. Now, Roman took his shot at him, but in the process, he was the Shield for Cody Rhodes, who went on to win the match.
yeah.
So
and win the title.
Right.
That was the big,
The big payoff at the end of the story. So
yeah, at WrestleMania.
and then they're playing into it now. If you picked up now, you'll see that there's two people very pissed at people siding with Roman Reigns. Cody Rhodes, who needed the protection, has teamed with Roman Reigns, and who's the other one I'm thinking of? Oh, Jey Uso, Cody,
Yeah,
Jay, Sammy. All these people helped to bring down Roman Reigns, and they've all reteamed with Roman Reigns as he came back. And so now there's these two people who are livid, who are considered bad guys. But when you really listen to their point, they make a valid argument, which is we spent 2 years trying to topple this tyrant,
and
and
then the
in
counter. Well,
what's
go
up?
ahead. Go, keep going.
And then it takes like literally 6 months, and now you're teaming with the tyrant again. What is wrong with you guys? Like,
Well, it's the counterpoint that I was about to interrupt. What is that? This new bloodline that one of Roman's followers,
right,
Solo Sokoa,
another member of the Samoan family.
his it was his enforcer. So he was supposed to be, kind of like sort of like next in line, the other kind of like heavy hitter. Oh, almost not quite a
The
bodyguard,
younger
but sort of like
version.
that. Yeah. So in his absence, after losing at WrestleMania, just takes control of the helm,
Yeah,
gets
very
other
mobster
people
storyline.
that a lot of us didn't know about. Yeah, does like a mobster storyline, like taking over the family,
Then brought in his own
and
family members, which are still part of the Samoan family, but they were kind of the outcast no one thought would ever show up in WWE because of different reasons.
they use that like gangster out, like influence of like not like just like today's like kind of like street gangster stuff, but they also incorporated like the mob gangster part of it with like Italian families and
It
stuff like that,
feels
and just
more like
melded it
Italian
together.
gangster
It does for the
mafia
most part. In the
than anything else.
beginning, it felt a little bit more like street gangster, but then they put more mafia into it, and they've kind of blended the two in my
Even the way
eyes.
the poster for SummerSlam, they're dressed like mobsters in a convertible. Like that's
Yeah,
how they're dressed. So,
yeah,
um, if you focus on the details, you'll find that there's a lot of stuff going on that can make it very interesting. If you just like the storytelling of it, a lot of backstage stuff too. If you start paying attention, there's a dark and evil group called the Wyatt Sick, and if you're careful with how you watch their promos, you'll usually find clues to who they're going to attack next and what maybe potential members down the road. And there's another character, another storyline stuff that's going on that we've talked about a couple times. Was they're on Raw, so there was no element to it tonight. But there's a character named Liv Morgan who stole a guy away from another woman named Rhea Ripley, named Dominic Mysterio. And if you watch, though, I still have a theory that either they were or they're going to be paid off as. Liv is actually seeing Finn behind Dominic's back. I'm still very convinced that there's going to be some type of storyline for that because there's all these little clues that show that Liv and Finn seem to have a couples angle going without actually saying it.
and you caught that very early on, and then I started paying attention to it, and then it started becoming like really kind of obvious, especially with one of the ones we missed where like their clique is all sitting there together, and Finn's talking like, was it
He
JD, and going like, "Hey, could you tell Liv that blah 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 blah," and then she would
looked to
tell,
Raquel,
yeah,
or
Rochelle,
Rochelle.
Rochelle, I
No,
think it's
there's a Q.
Rochelle.
It's definitely a Q, but I can't say it right now. You go ahead. I can't speak.
Okay, well, anyways, go to her. Would you tell Finn? Blah 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 blah. So they're having these weird, like, obviously a like
Bickering
couple,
couple.
yeah, bickering couple fight, and Dominic's just sitting here, just like, oh, I don't know what's going on. My friends are just getting, you know,
It's another
kind of
one too.
catty at each other.
You
Just
watch from the very beginning. So when she's trying to steal Dom, from Rhea and kick Rhea out of the group, very high
Oh yeah.
school Mean Girls esque.
Oh yeah.
She leaves
This.
Dom her room key. Well, the powwow in the group between the Judgment Day, where Rhea's group and Dom is and Finn is and the other people, they put the key card on the table and they argue about it for a minute. And if you watch, Finn pockets it, not Dom. And then later on, there's another episode where Rhea like graffitis the clubhouse they have, but everyone's got X's over their face, but Finn. So again, wrestling, if you pay attention and they do it right, they didn't do it right for a long time. Can be very story driven and murder mystery esque, so to speak.
Yeah. I
So
bet. We're even have a theory on who took out oh shit, shoot, why am I forgetting her name? She's left on the hood of a car.
Jade Cargill.
Yeah, Jade. And your theory thinking it was Naomi, where it's just like that could make a lot of sense, but it's not terribly obvious.
Yeah. So Jade comes in as a prospect from the other brand. They hold her off TV for a short while. She's got the look. I mean, this girl's got abs for days and looks like she could bench press a truck. Like, she is an intimidating but still attractive woman and a powerhouse of an athlete and power couple esque. She's married to a baseball player and just the whole aura about her screams top level star.
Yep.
And but she didn't seem like she was quite ready even when they brought her in for the ring. So I don't know if this is the reason, or if there's an injury or whatever. I'm never gonna know. I don't work there. I don't have sources. But they dropped her on the hood of a car in the craziest like death pose possible. Like
Yeah,
one leg is going the wrong direction for some reason.
yeah, they did it in like some like cartoon character like got ran over by a like truck or something and just
Yeah,
laid
it
there
looked.
laid there just injured in action mode. It's like did did you just pick that
I
like
can't
swaying
imagine.
your limbs like that on
I
your
can't
own, or
imagine
did
Jade
someone
did that. That
creative do that?
didn't look comfortable at all. But anyways, um, then so what happens from there is that her tag team partner, the other champion that was with her, needs a partner, and they're gonna suddenly have to forfeit the titles. And then they were down one person for this big multi-man match, and suddenly you see Naomi, who had nothing going on, start filling these places. But Bianca and Naomi are friends, so uh, it has some reason to believe that if Naomi did this and figured she could weasel her way in, she could get a title and get opportunities, and that's exactly what's happened so far.
Yeah.
So I'm still running with the theory that it was Naomi.
Is she was she was wrestling Nia Jax tonight
Yep,
for the title.
with
She
backup with
lost.
Bianca, but she already has the tag titles, which they were slick. Did you notice that tonight, Matt? They said the
Uh
last title she won was in 2017.
oh,
Do you want to know what that was? I think that was. I have to
what
double
was that?
check. I think that was when she won the tag titles with Sasha or
Oh,
Mercedes Monet.
yeah.
Uh,
Well,
uh,
you say Sasha. I remember her as Sasha, but yeah,
she's in the other brand right now with Mercedes, which was what
yeah.
she was when she
AEW.
got signed to. But they walked out. That's when Sasha left WWE. They dropped the titles and they walked out because they were getting their match time cut and they weren't getting allowed to do the things they were trying to do because they were trying to come up with great teamwork moves and actually build the tag team women's division. And they were
Both of
just
them
being
walked out.
they walked out. They dropped
Oh
the titles
wow,
on the desk and walked out.
wow.
So think that's the last title she technically won in WWE, but they worded it as the last title she won. Not tag titles, not this, not that. They left out the part where she walked out of the company.
Yeah, and also who she walked out of the company with makes
Right.
sense.
I also want to see who buckles first, WWE or AEW, because Liv Morgan and Mercedes have held their prospective titles almost the exact same number of days.
Yeah.
They're both about 225 days or something like that right now. So is either one going to take the belt off their person first, or are they just going to let them run right next to each other for a long time? Um,
I don't know.
I have to
We'll
get
see.
caught up on it. I need to go get some sleep. I'm on 23 hours right now.
Yeah.
Probably
Do you?
22.
I
But
don't think we quite covered the Bloodlines
okay,
six
what do you
man
want to?
tag,
How
but
do you want
I
to?
mean,
Honestly, to me, it's important, but also we're missing New Japan's stuff altogether, and that's some huge stuff. Kenny Omega's wrestling again. The Young Bucks are there again. Ricochet has a match there. Uh, should probably I don't know if they're wrestling tonight or if they started last night. It's a 2 night event. Usually it's around the third or the fourth, and our time it usually comes on about 2 or 3 in the morning. It runs about 7.
oh, so you need to wrap up so you can go try and find that.
No, I'm not gonna renew my New Japan subscription just for that. I'm gonna get some sleep, but I
All
usually
right.
do, and I usually try to stay up and watch it. Well, 2 years ago, Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega put on a masterpiece of a match.
Masterclass. Yeah.
Yeah, it was perfect. The way they sold injuries the entire match, the whole storytelling from start to finish was fantastic. But um, I don't know what else to just say. I mean, they're just building up stuff. They made Solo look strong by getting the win over Jay, but not really, because Jay didn't
Yeah.
know that Solo was the legal man. So he was caught off guard by the spike. He got spiked out of nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah. That was interesting. Do a little confusion there.
Yeah,
Uh,
so
yeah, and that angle with the camera, like if it wasn't the announcers telling me it was a spike, I didn't see that it was actually the spike. It looked more like a clothesline because I just from the
well, it's the
angle
way they
we
have to
had, it
do
just
it.
didn't look it. Yeah,
'Cause, I mean, they can't show him not have his thumb out. The thumb's got to be out for it to be a spike. So um, it's not a great move. I don't like the move as a whole. I think it's a good callback to his family heritage, but like
yeah,
it's hard to make it look good. One,
yeah. Yeah, it's a
two,
goofy move because you gotta have the thumb out as you're going in, but then you gotta recoil it
at
just
the
as
last
you
second,
whack someone on the chest with your fist.
right? And this it's supposed to be a spike to the neck clavicle area, which I don't know if I got hit in the throat. I've been in the throat. I make a weird noise and I reach for my neck. Like I don't, I don't get knocked out.
Yeah, yeah. It's
so,
weird how some people take it.
so
Maybe because they're not mentally like thinking on what it's supposed to
well, they're
look
supposed
like,
to be
and they're
done.
just
You
they're
know,
noticing what. Yeah, I guess, but they're also kind of feeling it like hit like if he's hitting in a good spot to make it look like he got him in the throat, you're probably hitting like just below the collarbone,
right?
so you're hitting meat.
So in theory, though, the person who takes it, in my opinion, should take it, hit the ground, clutch their neck, throat area, and kick a little bit, like like you would if you were hitting the throat,
Yeah,
and then get pinned because you got other things on your mind like your crushed throat to worry about. You know what I mean? Yeah, get the three
yeah.
count and then get me to the doctor. You hit the spike, but
Like
um,
how they do the old snake eyes move on the rope where you just pick them up and it's
yep,
supposed to be like dropping your throat on the neck but or your throat on the rope, but instead you would kind of protect yourself by letting the rope hit you like
yeah,
under
you're under
both
the
sort of
arms and your neck is right
underarms,
above it. But yes,
and then when you bounce off that rope you go as
exactly.
in you just yeah, and they're not selling it like that with the spike.
Yeah, they're just getting knocked out. It's like no,
Yeah.
that's not. There's never been a concussion like that I know of from a pointy object to the throat. So, but yeah, I mean, it's possible that the new bloodline wins and they take the wise man, and that's just the next step in the storyline
Yeah,
as we go forward.
that then it's kind of like how we started off after WrestleMania. He's got the wise man. The wise man's all
The difference is
worried for his safety.
Roman's back in this scenario.
Yeah, well, that's what I was gonna get to. Where it's just like, yeah, but now it's with like Roman's got to fight to get his wise man back, and it's just I don't know. It's because yeah, if they would completely wrap it up with Monday with Netflix like that, then it's kind of like, what do they build to WrestleMania with this?
Yeah, you got to figure that the Roman Solo bloodline stuff is going to be intertwined into WrestleMania. There is no current plan for what I understand from Twitter. Anybody can see that. For um, The Rock to be back, but I have to imagine he's going to be back somewhere along the way. I just have to.
I got what if.
Okay.
What if to cut now they've announced a lot of stuff for this Raw Netflix, the first one.
Right.
What if they end up doing a surprise guest referee for that match for the um,
We're out of
uh,
time to announce it though.
tribal one, but with no announcement? Just The Rock shows up just as a surprise, and it gets like tweeted like crazy, like, "Oh my God, The Rock's here
You would
refereeing,"
think that would
to
be
pull
something.
in the people that might be sleeping on this first
Maybe
Netflix thing.
it's possible. I That seems like one of those stars though you promote to get people to watch from the start, and then the surprise would be somebody that wrestling fans would know and go nuts for. But you're right, they could do it. I'm
I
more
mean,
inclined to think that The Rock is going to show up as a surprise and assist one way or another. I
you know,
just can't figure out which way because you have to imagine the match they want is probably Roman and The Rock, not Solo and The Rock. So Roman
yeah,
has to help Solo for some reason, and then that has to for some reason lead to a scenario where The Rock is wrestling instead of Roman instead of Solo. And I can't figure out in a way in my head that I like that The Rock sides with Solo and then somehow supersedes Solo to wrestle Roman at WrestleMania. And I can't figure out why that would happen. Um,
I, it could be a crazy swerve that they do with that, where The Rock shows up to help Solo, and when it's supposed to be like crowning Solo with the Ulafala, they crown The Rock instead, whether it be the Wise Man or say the Samoan Werewolf,
right.
and
That could be.
like a big like alpha betrayal of Solo, and
Right.
Solo's like kicked out of both bloodlines. Like, okay, now what?
Well,
Or somehow joins Roman.
I could see him staying with Roman, but being resentful of Roman,
Yeah.
and that being an angle. Okay.
Or staying with The Rock and being resentful of The Rock, and
I'm sorry,
eventually
The Rock. I misspoke. I
double
meant The Rock.
crossing him at WrestleMania.
100% misspoke. I meant The Rock.
Gotcha.
So, but
Yeah.
yeah. Uh,
So with my idea, I'm the only reason I think of that like a surprise Rock's refereeing thing is like making that like almost like a WrestleMania moment, like when the Hardys came back, stuff like that, where it's like, oh my God, they're here.
right.
It wasn't announced; it was just a surprise.
There was a rumor, but that was
Well,
the end of the rumor because they had just
yeah,
wrestled the Young Bucks at an ROH show. So it
yeah,
seemed unlikely. And then they got tricked with the limos they were using and stuff to get them there. But
yeah.
uh, yeah, no, it's possible. It is possible. It could be a thing like that. But
But
and you're right. This does have that feel where like a whole bunch of stuff that's already been announced will hopefully get people there. And then you do this, but
I
um,
I would
you have
the
to
whole
make
idea.
it has to be the main event. So like you're only gonna draw their eyes in for 45 minutes.
Well, yeah, that or it's just the beginning of the Netflix show. You announce like The Rock's just shows up and announces he's a special referee for it and gives time to be like, holy shit, The Rock's here, you're gonna be
Right.
refereeing part of this.
Well, then again,
So,
I think if The Rock's the referee, I think the big question again is who's he screw? Like, who's he screw over in this scenario?
well, it depends if they want to
I,
go a screw over route or if they want to be like almost like how Solo wanted the wise man to have the Ulafala and be like, you're going to give it to whoever wins. Where with this, the Rock being the referee is just like, well, you're gonna call it right down the
it
middle. This is your
doesn't
family.
feel like the character they've built so far with The Rock to me. You could be right, don't get me wrong, but the character they've built is a bad guy final boss. He's making fun of people for no reason. He's attacking people for no reason. He's doing stuff off camera. So
That's why you have him steal the Ulafala.
right.
You want the Ulafala? You gotta beat the final boss.
Right.
I'll see you at WrestleMania.
He takes that, and he also takes Paul Heyman just to do it. This is my wise man. Yes, The Rock is a bad guy.
He just picks up Paul Heyman under his arm and walks out the ramp with Paul Heyman going, no!
Yeah, he just carries him with one arm, no problem. So
save me, my tribal chief.
So we have a wait. The Rock is a bad guy. You want to jump in on how The Rock became a bad guy? You want me to take this one a little bit, or?
Yeah. I guess she's probably still here.
Yeah, she jumped
go
over
ahead.
here. So.
Is she over on your thing now?
Yeah. So, okay. What had happened is The Rock kind of inserted himself into the main event. So the Royal Rumble winner always gets to choose which person to wrestle and main event WrestleMania every year. Cody Rhodes had been doing this long story about, and they even called it finishing his story, about facing Roman for the title. Fair enough. That's your first knowledge. Like, okay. I go back to the Tooth Fairy personally, but that's no. Well,
not the Scorpion King.
No, before that. Was the Tooth Fairy before that or after that?
I think it was after that. The Scorpion King, I thought, was his first.
You might be right.
Big Hollywood thing. Kind of like he wasn't leaving wrestling yet. He like took a break.
Either way, so he comes back and everyone kind of figures. Well, he kind of figures. I think that everyone wanted to see him versus another massive Samoan in his family line, which is Roman Reigns. So they do this weird thing where Cody comes out, and that's fair. Cody comes out and declares he's gonna wrestle Roman a month earlier at the pay-per-view before it because he doesn't want to wait, and the fan backlash is through the roof. We're like, no. We're invested in this like 2-year long storyline. It's actually like 6 years if you want to go to Cody Rhodes not being used right, leaving the company, helping build a new company, then leaving that company, coming back to W. This is a saga, all right? We are invested. We love you, Rock, but you can't just take the spot. Like, that's not how this rule works.
Helping the other company. He was one of the people that created it, basically.
Yeah, it was him, the Bucks, and Tony Khan for the most part. Kenny Omega was also a major part of that too. So, but yeah. that was your core group that built the other company. So he comes back, and so no one wants him to just jump line like that. So he pivots and because he is I think he's a high level executive at this point in TKO.
Yeah.
So TKO is the parent company. So back about 2 years ago, Vince decided to sell the company. And
it was during all this scandals.
Yeah, when all the scandal stuff reemerged. So the UFC...
The payoff of the lady who he had sex with and then shit on her head. All that.
it does go, you know, horribly contradictory to that. However, some people proclaim that to work with him on set is tough because he keeps his own schedule and he'll leave people waiting and this and that, and he's kind of a big timing people. But at the same time, a lot of people love him because he goes and sees his fans that sit out for hours. But anyways,
He is kind of the top action star right now.
he is, but he keeps his
So
schedule, and a lot of people say that it's very tough to work with him. That he'll leave entire sets just waiting, burning money, waiting for him to show up.
yeah.
That being said, he'll leave a set at 3 a.m. and if there's a kid of some sort that's been waiting to see him, he'll go see him. So I think he favors the regular person over movie studios and stuff like that, but it also isn't right to burn that kind of money and waste that kind of people's time. And
Yeah.
anyways, it's tough. I'm sure it's not easy being The Rock. It can't be easy. Love the guy still. Love his movies. Love him as a wrestler. So on. So, but anyways, so he changed up once they realized that there was this negative backlash to him taking the spot. He just leaned into it. And so the
Yeah.
company was being bought by the UFC's parent company, TKO. He's got a role at TKO already, or he is because of this, one of the two. I don't know how that worked out. I think there was a little bit of getting him involved because of Vince McMahon being in all these scandals. They wanted a different figurehead, essentially. Anyways, he's involved with TKO. So he literally made himself called the final boss because he is still this gigantic, larger than life character, both in character and physically. And he became a bad guy. And he worked with Roman Reigns, who was his relative, who was a bad guy, and tried to stop Cody Rhodes from finishing the story. After WrestleMania was done, he disappeared to go do Moana 2 and this and that. So he's gone again. Strangely enough, like 2 months ago at this point, he came out at the end of a show
Oh,
and
yeah.
just stood there for a minute. And that was the end of it. So everyone's trying to figure out what's his involvement in this storyline now.
All
But
you really said though is he's like walking way out of the back and
oh
just like,
yeah,
oh, a lot of bullshit going on around here.
yeah,
He goes and walks out, sees the trucks with some of the superstars painted on. It's like, oh, I like him. I like that guy's father, but I don't like him.
yeah.
I'm
Dusty,
talking
I
about
like you, man,
Cody.
but your kid's a candy ass.
Yeah, friggin' jabron.
Yeah. So we don't really know what his affiliation currently is with this, but is his character because of the backlash from the fans from him trying to, and he probably thought he was giving them the WrestleMania match everyone wanted, Roman versus The Rock, but everyone was so invested in Cody's storyline that it felt so weird, and no one wanted it. Everyone wanted to see the
Yeah,
end of the story they were developed.
he was
They rode with for 2 years plus.
he was just interjecting himself all of a sudden, just going like, "Everyone loves me. I'm the Rock. I have my millions and millions of fans. They'll flock right to me." It's like, dude, you've been out of wrestling since your two WrestleManias wrestling John Cena.
Yeah.
They
Even then, though, he was
the
fantastic. He tore an abdominal muscle and kept wrestling that
oh,
match.
I mean,
Gotta love the guy.
you know, people know who he is, but the majority of the fan base that's watching now might not, and I'm saying majority, might not have watched during the Attitude Era, might not been alive for the Attitude Era, so they don't give a shit.
Well, they don't think of him
Thought
as
The
the
Rock's,
Rock that way, but they
yeah,
do.
they
They've
think
seen
of
the
you as
Fast series,
Hollywood.
right? Um,
So
there's
that's what he
definitely.
should do. Come out calling himself Hollywood and dressing like
Oh my god!
like Hogan's NWO
Come full circle after wrestling
Hollywood.
Hollywood Hogan.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
Even used even used part of the NWO music since they got the rights to it. It just, do you smell what the Rock is cooking? Then go into the NWO music and just do the full on Hogan thing.
Yeah, he is. He is a child. The Rock is a children's movie star to Gen Z and Gen Alpha, and
Yeah. He's
um,
not really a wrestler to them. not so much.
Yes, but millennials and um, what's technically right before millennials or right after millennials now?
As
Is that Z?
oh, well, Gen Z, like, um, she was mentioning, yeah, Gen Z,
Generations
you
are
know,
weird because they're like 20 years apart. So like, what's the thing that butts up
yes,
against millennial?
well, it's Gen X, Millennial, Gen Z.
Okay, so Gen Z though, there is a group of Gen Z that's also going to realize him as uh uh this is correct as well, but to me, the millennials and the older Gen Z population is probably going to mostly know him for his Fast and Furious series role.
Yeah. Well, there was also a lot of millennials that didn't watch wrestling that knew who the hell Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock were as wrestlers during that time, because that was the like second like golden age of
The
wrestling that
culture of
exploded.
wrestling during the Attitude Era was huge. I still
It,
get Crystal still sends me memes of like sixth graders in '96 walking down the hallway doing this for no reason as they're doing the crotch chop to everybody.
yeah, yeah.
Like the culture
I,
was
I
just
I did it
there.
in church. They got mad.
Yeah, yeah. And you had Stone Cold shirts everywhere. You had 316s with skulls on everything.
they, they said amen, and then heard me yell, "Suck
Suck
it!"
it. Time and place, Matt. Time and place. That was neither the time
Oops,
nor the place.
I didn't know they were saying a prayer. I was just in a different room, but they heard me.
Now, a young Stone Cold had long blonde hair or shoulder length blonde hair.
Yeah,
I just want to point that out.
he looked like a weird Hulk Hogan with
Yeah,
his
he
hair,
did. He did. Part of the Fabulous Blondes. He was,
which
yeah,
is
it was
why he
weird.
mimicked him in his little bit of time in ECW.
I still think he stole the whippersnapper. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah,
I feel like he combined Mikey Whipwreck and Sandman to create
yeah.
his character.
He took Sandman's drink and he's just like, yeah, drinking all the
I
time at
figured that's not
ringside.
what they
Yeah,
meant, but I just wanted to point out that fact. I figured you meant he just like a young bald version of Stone Cold, but young Stone Cold had really straight, thin blonde hair.
but yeah, the wrestling culture at that time bled into pop culture of the 90s and very
CNBC,
early 2000s, just
CN,
like Hulkamania did in the 1980s.
CNBC would do a Tuesday morning rundown of Monday Night Raw for every time they said the word suck it, did a crotch chop, flipped people off. Like CNBC actually did a breakdown chart every Tuesday of the number of times these things happened. Why I don't know, but they did. That was how much of pop culture it was part of back then.
The threatening letter that WWF at the time got about like DX, and then they took that letter and read it in like sort of like almost like addressing the nation sort
It
of
was
a thing.
a mockery of that because they read it in front of a podium. Yes, like
Yeah,
they were addressing the nation.
yeah, they read it like that, and yeah, they were getting threatened to be thrown off the air if they do any of this again. And then they like wrote back right after that and went like, oh, "We love that. Just
The
keep doing
ratings
it."
were so good, they were like, "Oh, you know what? We're fine."
Yeah,
Uh,
just
John
we'll eat
Cena
it.
back then. You were in middle school slash high school. I don't. When first time he
I
came
I
out,
I married young.
he probably the time that your friend saw him, he was probably in the jeans, shorts, basketball jerseys with the finger rings and the hat on backwards. He was probably the doctor of thugonomics at that point. He probably wasn't still ruthless aggression, John
it,
Cena, which was like
it,
forward blonde hair, like bleachy blonde hair, jacked spandex shorts and boots. That's his first appearance. 2001 and 2007. Yes, he was wearing jean shorts and basketball jerseys and hats on backwards. He was the Doctor of Thugonomics. And if
And
you
he
listen,
had a chain around his neck with a key lock at the
yes,
end of it.
if you listen to his theme music, it is so not PG.
Well, yeah,
He's
no, it was
talking
the
about
tail end of the
swiping credit cards through
go.
prostitutes and all kinds of stuff.
It was the end of the Attitude Era. He needed to fit in, and then all of a sudden they went PG era, and he's just like, "Okay, I'll be a
Yeah, well, he
superhero.
was technically still part of the
I'm
ruthless
Superman."
aggression era in '07.
Yeah,
That's back when the move was still called the FU and not the AA.
yeah, the attitude adjustment.
Yeah, it went from the FU to the attitude adjustment. Yeah, I mean, I get it. I know a lot of people now give him a lot of shit because he's still. This is his last year. He's actually doing his retirement tour this year, starting on Monday.
Yeah,
He's got this big bald spot in the back of his head that people give him shit about.
yeah,
I'm like,
yep,
dude still benches like 300 pounds, no problem. Dude's held every title under the sun, made millions, dated Nikki Bella. Like, you can try to like compare to some young, hot, up and coming star, but like, they got a legacy to try to catch up to, man. I think a lot of people would trade current life to be John Cena's life any day of the week.
that was kind of nuts too. Left her because she wanted to start a family. He's like, I don't want to do that right now.
Yeah, it's
Like,
weird. It
I,
seems like I almost feel like he matured to understand give and take after she left.
yeah,
Because he went on to do roles like Peacemaker and do more things that seemed out of character for like John Cena as we saw him in the Nikki Bella shows and stuff like that after
yeah.
she left.
Well, sometimes it takes things like that to be your wake up call.
Right. I mean, I can't
And
say that,
just
but on the shows like the Total Diva show and stuff like that, he'd come across so prim and proper and so stuck up that it seemed impossible that would ever work out. And then years later, now he's playing a semi flamboyant, we'll call it, superhero uh, in Peacemaker and having a great time. So I think it just seems as though he kind of found a part of himself he didn't see before after she left. She went on to marry a dancer from Dancing with the Stars. And if I'm not mistaken, there was some type of domestic situation, so I don't know if they're still together or not after that.
it still doesn't go well for her.
No. Well, John Cena, I don't think it ever would have done anything bad, just wouldn't give her the family that she wanted. All right, I'm going to go to bed. We've been at this for 2.5 hours. Been fun. And the questions
Yeah,
and stuff you brought up has really made this more entertaining to talk about because it's kind of just going off script a little bit and actually going into random stuff, which is great and always fun to do.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, that was a lot of story we clued her in on. Maybe we'll get her to start watching stuff.
yeah. Locally, if we go to something locally, it would have to probably be Mega. AI Dub,
She's wanting to do her first show Raw when it comes to town in February.
that's fine.
It's just
Yeah,
fine, but it's just like, whoop.
I have not talked to my friends since the AAW show just because we haven't had a chance to get together.
Yeah,
Weather, work schedules are all off, things like that for right now.
yeah.
But I will bring up the fact that you two want to go, and we'll go from there. Um, I
Let
don't.
me take notes. I just need to take notes. Period. All I need to do is write down the
We're bad
matches.
with names. Really, is our problem. We're both kind of bad with
You,
names.
you're pretty good just because you've been watching for so long, kind of uninterrupted. Me, I keep slipping out of it, back in, back out of it, and now I'm trying to stay back in it, and I gotta catch up.
I
I
get
got
that
a
for
lot
sure.
of names to learn.
But
But
all
yeah,
right,
I just need to write that stuff down, and you need to go to bed.
I need to go to bed because I am really pushing. So I woke up at 3:50 a.m.
Oh God,
So
yeah, that.
The
Eh,
problem with that is you're not wrong, but the problem with that is that I think um, you said something. I have to respond to it.
yeah, I was writing a whole bunch of talking points when we first started doing this. I was writing notes, and we were taking too long.
So here's my
We
problem
were
with it.
covering too
I
much
feel
stuff.
like we got to go over the show, and I'm completely fine with just missing matches. If the match didn't elevate the story um, or the
You say that
broadcast,
until it's one of your guys. I went to skip some matches one time, and
don't
you're just
skip
like, "Wait, I
Wesley.
want to
Don't
talk."
skip
Yeah,
Wesley.
yeah. You're just like,
Don't
"I
skip the
want to talk about
Ohio
them."
boy.
You're not skipping them. I'm like, okay, never mind. We're not gonna cut time. We're gonna go
My, you
three
know,
hours. Fine.
no, I think for me, it's less about skipping complete matches, I guess, and just talking about the points in the matches if they matter. If you know, um, like I just wanted to laugh about Meechin calling her twerk the long back attack essentially, but that match didn't do much other than keep the relevance between the two of those, her and Chelsea, a thing. So as much as I like
Yeah.
Meechin, that could be covered if in literally my statement about the long back attack name. Um, that's the kind of stuff I want to point out because I feel like people who are going to watch this have also watched the wrestling. So I just want to point out the stuff I find funny or really impressive, like the way the camera angles were shot tonight, for example. But who the no. um, but yeah, it's we'll do this again soon.
Yeah. All right. You want to take us out then?
Yeah, yeah. Um, it could be the way you do your notes, but at the same time, uh, like my notes literally just says long back attack, so that's my note. But if someone then builds off that same statement, then you're in a conversation about the match. But my notes literally say long back attack. That's it.
Yeah,
It's
that's
a
what I was
bullet.
getting down to.
So, anyways, we'll do this again on Monday following
Netflix Raw.
Netflix Raw. First time Raw won't be on USA in a very, very long time. So it's been fun. This has been super long. So this will take forever to upload onto YouTube, but it will do it. And hopefully more people pop in. We were doing so good for a while. That person popped in, that person popped in, that person popped in.
And then the holidays kind of happen.
Yeah, then we got to be more consistent because then we stopped being consistent. But hopefully that changes now. I'm going to go pass out. I got to go grocery shopping in the morning. So I got to go pass out.
Yeah, you go to bed.
So for Forsaken, for myself, you can find this on Spotify soon on the commentary table, and you can find it on YouTube also soon, probably tomorrow, at the commentary table on YouTube. It's been fun. I'm going to go pass out. This is all you're going to get for an exit because I'm tired. Later.
Good night.